Hey guys, this is Jim Fix, aka Fillmore. For those of you who love QF, a podcast about Howard Stern, and would like to donate some money, there's two ways now you can do it. You can join our Patreon page, which is listed in the graphic you're seeing now. But also, if you'd rather not do a subscription-based thing, even if it's $1 a month or what have you, you can use our PayPal account, which would be jimfix76@gmail.com. And you can donate whatever you like, however you like, one of those two ways, and we'd more than appreciate it if you'd like to do so. Thank you very much.
How many friends do you really have? People you confide
Two.
in. Confide in.
Oh, one.
Confide in.
One.
Who is that?
Beth.
That is not your friend.
Who is it?
Why couldn't it be friend?
But why
Could she be my friend?
She could be your friend, but she's your wife. I'm talking about friends.
Well, she just became my
outside. Oh, stop it. She
All
was
right,
your
I have
love
one other. My psychiatrist.
That's not a friend.
I don't confide in any friends. I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't trust any of my friends. You should see who my friends are.
Well, that's what you call a friend. Somebody you can trust.
Nah. I would say Don Buchwald, my agent. I would say I'm so close to him, he knows everything that if I know I can go to him and tell him anything and he won't judge me.
I don't know if it's a friend.
And I've told him some
But
shit.
that's another person you pay.
Yeah, I don't have any friends I don't pay.
You do a show here, if it's successful or not, it doesn't matter.
And the one thing I don't respond well to is humiliation. I don't respond well to it at all. You know, I don't want to be told what a shithead I am. I don't want to. You know, those days are over. I've suffered enough in this business. I don't need to find out what a shithead I am.
Listen, there are people who are at a job too long. They're not into it. They can't admit it to themselves. But nobody cares around here. Nobody sits here and gets worried about ratings. It's a joke.
Well, you don't need ratings here.
So I'm cured. I'm not going to be cured of any. I am me. I am just going to a psychiatrist so that I can feel better about certain issues in my life. That's all. Yeah, somehow I believe Leno will just end up at 11:30. But anyway, they're announcing today that, first of all, Jay Leno's such a douchebag. He's the number 1 late night guy. He gets like $20 million a year. He could be getting $50, $60 million a year, but he doesn't want it. Like, that just skeeves me out and makes me think he's a bigger asshole than I've ever. You know, it's just like, oh, what is that? Like, what? Why is it you won't take more money?
The money, yeah.
Like, what are you trying to prove? You're every man. You're making $25 million. I mean, no one's relating to you.
Every man.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I got enough money. You know, I live on my stand-up. And
So guys, now that you've heard the entire John K. Billy West encounter on the Stern Show, we're going to go into some subsequent clips and also one that predates it that I realized when they mentioned it, when John K. mentioned Billy on the Conan, I looked for it and he was on the Tonight Show. He might have been on Conan as well, but he was on the Tonight Show and Billy West fucking destroyed. And you can tell from this, John K. is upset because he doesn't mention, well, we'll talk about it anyway, but we know that we found out that Wiggy's probably going to be pissed because if you see the impression Billy does of Howard on the show, he nails him and he gets more laughs in one appearance than Wig gets on any combination of talk show appearances.
Well, truth be told, I've never seen this, so this is going to be new for me. Mm-hmm. So audience, we're going to hear this at the same time. I'm going to be along for the ride. I just had to, wring out my shirt from embarrassment sweats and fierce rage sweats from the last 2 episodes of John K. and my profuse anger.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough to go through, and I'm sure it was equally tough to listen to, guys. But anyway, enjoy this because Billy just destroys.
First of all, thanks for dressing for the program. I appreciate that, sir.
Why would anyone want to dress for this program?
I love that he's Billy Madison-esque attire. He's Artie-esque.
Well, the other thing, well, poor Billy, that's he's got the cap on because of those awful garbage men plugs he got put in, so he doesn't want to show his thinning hair, but which he obviously had the money to sort out later on because he looks all right. But he also does. There's no affectation, right? He's clearly just going for very laid back, very casual, village style. And Wiggy is the opposite. He goes in, he's got a hairdresser, and he's got a stylist put himself together.
Yeah, well, he has to think about all those great looks, like at the Arsenio show, like that great look with the chucks and the tank top.
Oh, totally. So this, and as again, guys, this was a complete. I didn't even know this existed because I was not a big Jay Leno fan, and I would never have seen it in real time, and I certainly didn't see or hear much about it subsequently, because usually the certain videos get more play with Stern fans and X fans as being controversial and stuff, but I guarantee this video sent Wiggy right into a fucking tailspin and sowed the seeds for his eventual fucking sandbagging and then departure.
Because we love Carson so much, I know a part of me wonders, did I hate Jay so much because obviously we were colored by Stern's hatred of Leno? I wonder if we watch it back, if we would maybe like it a little more, because I really never gave Jay a shot, to be honest.
I didn't because he wasn't Carson, but also because he changed once he became corporate, once he became the Tonight Show head. He didn't do the same type of material. He became really much safer. Jay at one point was the #1 comic in the States. He was the absolute best stand-up comic there was. And if you listen to those earlier appearances of him on Carson, he just fucking destroys. And it's a little edgier, but it's not a lot, but there's a difference. It's a subtle difference.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I just never really gave it a shot at all. So
yeah,
I do think it's safe and I don't like it, but honestly, I never really gave a shit about him. And I, of course, preferential to Carson.
Yeah, to me, it was just, he ain't Carson, so I'm not even going to bother. I didn't even give him a chance. It wasn't fuck him. It was more like, oh, you mean he's on? That kind of thing. And Letterman I couldn't stand because of his attitude. So it depended on who the guests were, too. If Norman was on Letterman, I'd always tune in and watch. But to me, Letterman was incidental.
That's right. I knew it was going to happen. Now, I've been calling you a weasel. Say, be weasel, Billy. Wait. Oh, now, why would you call me a weasel? Very good weasel impression. Thank you. Actually, because he does an impression of me, a rather poor one, actually. A rather poor one, actually. No, the other day he was on the Howard Stern show, and he started to do this Jay Leno thing, and Now, I'm glad Billy West is here because Billy West does cartoon voices, and I was a fan of the Flintstones personally, and I saw the movie, and what was going on with Betty? When did she become the same size as Fred?
He nails him so fucking perfectly, not just the voice, but the cadence, the pomposity, the sort of overbearingness. He's perfect. He's pitch perfect.
This is
loads of people do Leno impressions,
great.
but not that good. Nobody does them that good.
Oh, that is so seamless and easy.
And you can see Leno's, he's not like
he's not
Seinfeld
even breaking a sweat. He's just like, let me hang out and just, you don't even have to walk me into this. I'll just fucking spout.
Yeah, it's effortless. And Wig needs to be, it's the opposite. With every movement of his is almost like there's a team of people on a wheel, like pushing him forward. Every comedy bit is like written.
Oh my God. He needs a team of,
tutors.
He's the Tin Man. He needs Dorothy with the oil can. Oil.
Who knew that Barney Rubble was a chubby chaser? It doesn't even sound like me. Now, let me ask you about Ren and Stimpy. How'd you come up with those two voices? Well, the last time I talked to you, the Stimpy voice is the big brain-dead cat with his tongue hanging out, and he's sort of based on Larry from the Three Stooges. Like, hey, Mo, there's too much tinsel on the Christmas tree. So we souped it up, and it became like, you want a magic nose goblin? I picked them myself. And Greenpeace. And, yeah.
No, so this is the thing. John Kay on the Stern Show, when you guys heard the first part of this, he was pissed off. He made a mention like, oh, you went on the whatever late night or Conan, I think it was. I think it was Conan. And he said, you didn't, give props to him. Basically, he was going, why didn't you mention me? I think John Kay was pissed he couldn't get on. That was the whole point. But you wouldn't get the guy who does the animation on the show. You'd get the guy who does the voices, who was the one that was actually talented. Leno clearly probably said, "Look, get the one who does the voices, Billy West." And John Kay was pissed. And then he's also pissed because you made it like you came up with the impression yourself. And Billy explained, no, they were on a page. He never said it. I guess John Kay was upset that he inferred that he came up with it himself. He didn't deny anything. He didn't say, "Oh, direction was given to me by somebody else." I could see that, getting upset by that, but it's kind of a long way to go to make that presumption.
Well, again, he just said, "How did you come up with that voice?"
Mm-hmm.
Or how did you come up with the character voice or whatever? Like we said, I don't know. You have Tom Hanks on. Are you going to yell at Tom Hanks for not crediting the script writer for Toy Story? Like,
yeah,
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, so the creator, I mean, I guess basically John Kay is such an arrogant asshole. Is more like, you should just credit the person who gave you the job. Well, it's not about him. This is his time to shine. Sorry.
And I think there might have been a lot of tumult behind the scenes with Billy and John Kay. We don't know what the ins and outs were. So Billy might have been protecting something, and it was probably better off not even saying anything about it. Who knows?
Well, yeah, and especially if John Kay was at this point, because this is 94, guys. I'm not sure when in 1994. I'm sure there's an archive, and I just haven't done my homework and could research exactly when this appearance was. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, the summer, John Kay may have already been a goner at a Ren and Stimpy, and then you don't mention his name because you don't want your name tied to him as well. Maybe that's what Billy's afraid with. He's
right.
afraid.
Didn't it sound like the more, even when I listened back to our episode during the chat, it doesn't seem like the most together human being, you know?
John Kay?
Right.
No.
It's not like somebody you really want to, tie on with and go down with the sinking ship. I'm sorry. It just doesn't.
As awkward as Billy was, it's not as awkward as John Kay came off. And so, I mean, it kind of, now we know, thankfully we know what we know. And then he's done subsequent interviews in the last, I don't know how many years since, and John Kay just comes off as the biggest fucking creep. And I'm talking documentaries, I'm talking regular interviews from the Nerdist, all kinds of things, and really arrogant. That's the difference. Billy doesn't come off as arrogant to me. At least that's just my take.
Laura Ashley was underaged. That's hot.
Or his procurer, yeah. Heidi Fleiss for the fucking teen set.
My new friend Bill Maher, who threw me in the pool. And the Ren voice, he's the like that crazy chihuahua. Right. He's sort of like an alcoholic dad or something. He's like, dysfunctional. His voice is based on, he's, how do I say this? Peter Lorre, a little bit of Peter Lorre. Yeah, I'd like a couple of hamburgers, and to make them raw, please. And then there's a little bit of touch of south of the border in there. Yeah. Because he's a chihuahua, You like the same things I do. And then Burl Ives is thrown in there. A lot of people don't remember Burl Ives. He was that big fat, that calorically challenged folk singer from the 50s, Jiminy Crick Corn and I don't care. But he's in there because he played an unbelievable bastard in the movies. Yeah. Stop or I'll shoot. I told you to shoot me. Wouldn't you believe me? Why wouldn't you believe me? So if you put all these, if you put all these voices together, it's the Ren thing, I guess we'll never know, because you're gonna guard it. Yeah.
Amazing that he to take three. It's hard enough to do one voice and keep to it, but then doing that voice, like combining three different voices and making them as one. And
then you were the voice of Stimpy. And you had to become the voice of Ren, which is already a known voice. That's amazing.
And a shitload of work, too.
Also, I remember when I was watching the cartoon, I didn't realize Ren was a chihuahua off the bat because he was such an ugly, weird-looking thing. And the colors of the animals were so, Stimpy was red.
Yeah.
And Ren was just peach.
Yeah, it was demented.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck are these things? They just didn't look like dogs and cats. They just looked like, I don't know. I don't know.
Something. Well, maybe they were meant to be that way. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what else he's got going.
You know, and what? Now, is this what you always wanted to do? Did you always want to do cartoon voices? Yeah. You did stand up for a while, didn't you? Yeah, I failed miserably. That's a tough living. I mean, I really respect you guys. I took the easy way out. I just hide in a booth and do whatever I want in the dark, you know? But, now, come on.
I don't think we need to bring our personal habits.
I don't think we need to bring our personal habits. Now, cut that out. Tell me, X-Men, you always do me on Stern. Yes, I do.
Do you do Stern? Can you do Howard?
Oh, you want to know what kind of a guy he is?
No, can you do Howard? Can you do his voice? Or are you scared because you're on his show? And
Oh, are you scared because you're not on his show? I don't know. Let me see. Wait a minute. Let me see. Hold on. This will help. Wait a minute. What do you have here?
Oh my God.
Let me see. Wait a minute. Here we go.
Oh my God.
He didn't know I was going to do this. He's going to kill me. All right, Jay. All right. Calm down. Everybody just calm.
All right, he's got the mannerisms first. He's doing the Jesus pose. Did you see how his body changed as a result of it?
This is amazing.
Right. And he doesn't get the voice. I'll say that. I'm not going to be a bullshit artist. He doesn't get the voice, which is, just beyond him, I guess. He was more concerned with getting the cadence, the way Artie would mimic someone. And like when Artie did the Alec Baldwin, he used his thoughtless pig call to his daughter. He nailed the
Rude,
essence of it.
thoughtless little pig.
Right. You still bought it. Even though you heard Artie's voice, you were listening to Alec Baldwin. He did it so well. Artie was really talented in that way, too.
Calm down. Very good. Now, Jay, as you know, I am running for governor of New York. It is not a joke. You, Bill Maher, politically incorrect. What was your Jackie Mason thing?
Oh my God, that's Bill Maher sitting next to him. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh my God, I wasn't even paying attention to the person sitting next to him. I was so enamored with Billy West, I didn't even realize that's fucking Bill Maher with more hair.
Yeah,
Holy
and
shit bag. And
Bill,
thinner.
you can't take your eyes off Billy though.
Politically incorrect. I know what it is. I watch your show. But I'm going to tell you something. I got 6% of the vote, but as of today, I got 18% of the vote. You think that's a joke, Jay? No, it's not a joke. The voters have spoken. I don't know what the hell they're saying, but they have spoken.
He moves the wig around just like Howard moves his own hair around like a wig.
Yes.
He tousles the bottom of his wig just like Billy.
Constantly. He's always going at his hair. At that time with that particular wig system he was always at his hair. Always. It's only the more recent, like the wet look, the curls, the fucking pubic hair look that he's got that he doesn't have to, because that hair's always, it's never moving. It's always in the tendrils are always in the same place. But back then his hair was all over the place and covering both sides of his face.
It's wild, Fillmore. He needs it cut. The pandemic's been so rough for him.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something. A lot of people have asked me what I'm going to do when I become governor of New York. I am going to take these criminals. Jay, I'm going to take these criminals. Get a little gas, Jay. It's a little bit of gas there. Yes. Yeah, so let me ask you something, Jay. What's your wife like in bed? Is she wild in the side? Come on, you can tell me. I got to know these things. My wife doesn't do anything for me, and she lays there like a lox. I dream about girls. Boy, if I could be out in Hollywood like you with a happening career, Jay, I'd be all over the town with these girls. These women wouldn't know what hit them. They'd be like Jupiter. And they're stupid. Let me take over your show, Jay. Let me just take over the show here for a second.
Oh.
That stupid planet you all saw it in the news. Looks like Rush Limbaugh's head. That Jupiter, all right. Let me just tell you about this Jupiter. All last week I keep hearing about this shoemaker.
He just nails the perfect word vomit that he used to do all the time.
Levy 9. Shoemaker Levy 9, I don't know what that is. I'm astronomically challenged, means I don't know much about space, Jay. But I hear about this and I say, Shoemaker Levy 9, what is that, OJ's new defense team? I don't know what that is. Well, now, who else do you do? You have other ones you're working on? Do you have other people? I mean, I think we all pretty much got the flavor. Every 9.5 minutes you did there, I think we all pretty much got the flavor. Have you got anybody else you're doing? Anybody else you're working? I don't know. I was one day somebody said I was my wife. I was growing this goatee. Is that what that is? Yeah, because the last time I was here, I weighed 10 more pounds, and my mother said, "You know who you look like? Tim Russert." And I go, "Gee whiz, thanks a lot." So I mean, nothing against Tim Russert, but I just lost the weight and I grew this goatee. So I'm working on a whole new thing. I'm going to be the older but more cost-effective Jim Carrey. Hint, Hollywood. Yeah,
oh
good.
my God.
So murder me, arrest me. The double murder, the double homicide of these last two jokes, all right? What are you going to do? There you go. I think you said it all. Perfect. Howard Stern. Billy West, ladies and gentlemen. Be right back.
So that was that. And you had to know that fucking stuck in Wig's asshole completely.
By the way, guys, Tim Russert's from Buffalo. He grew up in South Buffalo. He was a garbage man. And he did the brilliant Meet the Press, and no one has done it as well since.
Mm-hmm. And so what we're going to go into next is actually a vid that when Howard released Miss America, I'm not sure if it was the hardcover or the paperback, but regardless. And the only reason I say that is because in my paperback version that I got to review, the pictures are all gone. In the hardcover, you get all kinds of like 12, 15, 16 pages of full glossy, pictures, and they're gone from the paperback version that I had. So it's a bit of a jip. At any rate, at one point, they're all pissed at him because he disparaged them all through the book. And we will review Miss America one time to show you exactly how much of an asshole he was being and how little content was in the book. But in it, at one point, trying to placate, what's his name, Fred, he puts down Billy. He doesn't mention him, but it's exactly who he's talking about. So
working those machines and doing writing for me.
Every other day you also see you hate me and you wish I could die.
So well, of course. But how long have you been in that chair?
Since 1981.
Comfortable. Sounds like a great place to work.
Yes, absolutely.
Fred, by the way, no wonder why he's aged like a lesbian grandpa, because it's unbelievable the abuse he's had wielded at him all these years.
Yeah, and I would be surprised if Fred is in some closet alky when he gets off the show and stuff. And he did try to keep himself as busy as possible, but the level of anger he and, Bowie, we know, must have towards Wig after all these years being hitched to that fucking fraud, and then not really, but also being equally like less talented on some level, and knowing you can't do any better, and knowing you're stuck with this fucking guy. It's like a divorce you just can't get out.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. There's your validation.
There you go.
I can't give you any more validation than that.
Okay. But that doesn't come.
How long has Al Rosenberg been with the show? Excuse me. How long has Al Rosenberg been with the show?
He was with the show for 3 years.
Okay. How long was our friend from Washington with the show? About 2 days?
Something like that.
How come a certain other person is no longer with the show who I just couldn't care less about?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
I haven't
think about it tonight. When you sit, and you can read the chapter again and think about it. That's your validation.
Basically, he couldn't tell them really that he shit on them for page after page after page in the book, but then and then he try to do a Don Rickles thing, and they're they're the best. I wouldn't have anybody else at the show, and they were all rightfully pissed.
Listen to this master manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
It's so maniacal and just beats you down. It really is such awful
abuse.
Such awful abuse. It's like any sort of scrap he can give you that's supposed to make you feel good. So just take whatever little fucking piddlings I'm going to give you. Whatever fucking bullshit I'm going to give you.
Yeah. You've got a job.
Have some more?
Yeah, you've got a job. Count yourself lucky you're hired. Basically, that's what we're saying. Like, you may not get any more money, but you're going to be gainfully employed. That's what I'm holding over your fucking head. So you're going to take this abuse, whether you like it or not. So when Billy left, he couldn't fucking take
Cratchit, grateful for a fucking coal.
Yes.
Freezing, staying late.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Or the Ebenezer duck stealing the cheese from the mouse. Taking the crumb back. Remind me to put that gif in there somewhere. Reference. This is from when Jackie left. It's a clip of some caller calling in and giving Jackie shit. And, of course, Billy gets referenced as another non-essential piece of the show.
Yeah, Glenn, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
The sheer fault.
It's like an advertisement. Mike Lindell should be fluffing it for a My Pillow commercial. Look at that fucking thing.
Black cotton. the sheer volume.
Stuff it with it. We find in our factories we make it with the finest. You fucking get that mustache guy and Shane stuffing this fucking pillow with that shit. Look at that head of hair.
It's awful, man. And the headphones are just compressing it to go further to the back. It's amazing.
Good morning.
Damn, the show's not going to be the same. He's an endless source of material. Going back from Star Search, his wife banged a black guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
I tell you, listen, we wanted Jackie to keep working here, but I'll tell you what I'll do. Somehow I always seem to go on.
Oh, yeah, you can do without him.
Well, that's what people said when Billy left. When Billy left the show, that was the end of the show.
Billy who?
Exactly.
Let me finish my list.
When Snooki was arrested at the Jersey Shore with her hair in a clip, it looked more put together. What the fuck is that?
So, I mean, you're going to hear it, guys. We're going to go through the history of Howard Stern, parts of it that have to do with Billy leaving. And this one clip, I brought it up, is Robin talking about him. And you'll hear it. I don't think she can help it, but she's being so haughty and bitchy. It comes off as bitchy. She might actually be matter-of-factly and just saying, it's trying to sound smart. But in the end, it just sounds like she's talking shit about Billy. So you hear it for yourselves and you judge.
1 week later, on November 1st, 1995, longtime contributor and master voice artist Billy West would make his final on-air contribution to The Howard Stern Show.
Billy was a great guy. I mean, he was great to work with. He was a real fan of the show and knew the history of the show and loved contributing to the show. And there was nothing you couldn't ask him to do. And when he'd start riffing on whatever it was he was doing, he just gave it 100%. So
Okay, so here's where it starts coming in.
he was one of those great guys to work with, of course, until, those money issues came up, that always happened to get in the way of artistic integrity.
Fucking cunt.
Oh my God, because God forbid people want to get paid for their talent and they don't want to skate by on the fact they hold something over you, like the fact they need you because you're black.
Oh, yes. So what you're going to hear now is another segment of that, and the hits keep on coming.
Hey, Howard, I listened to you like the tour on tape, man.
Thanks.
I had a question. I wanted to find out your side of something. Billy West was on Fitzsimmons' show, 9 months back, and I called in.
Why won't Billy come on our show?
Now, by the way, we're going to play with time a little bit. I've decided it's better that way. This is from December 11th or November 12th. I'm not sure based on how it was saved, 2008. And it's a long extended clip, and it sounds, you really hear it for yourself, but Wiggy sounds like it turns pissed off, and then he's vacillating like, he was talented, but why the fuck isn't he on our show?
And we also have to remember 2008 was a very trying year in regards to Artie.
Yes.
A lot of behind the scenes contention.
Yeah, chicanery, fuckery, and then just absolute. And it's long since the bro fight too. So, and Artie's doing his best to try to make it seem like he's trying to play peacemaker here between Billy leaving and whatever else. But the thing is, what's coloring it is when Artie starts talking, you realize he's taking the kid gloves off. He's putting the kid gloves on rather, and having to placate this fucking pelican. And he knows that it's a bone of contention. He knows why Billy left. Yep.
This is also, too, around the same time when a lot of the shows that were getting put on Sirius XM, like the Riley Martin show, Greg Fitzsimmons show, Andy Dick, all these things started having a problem with Howard. So it seemed like Howard started getting fed up with a bunch of things at the same time in 2008.
Yep. He became more and more the ringleader and less the actual focus, and he didn't like it.
He's boycotting us.
Yeah, we love Billy. I don't know. Understand. Like Billy, I don't know. I must have wronged him in some way.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, you think?
Yeah.
I remember when you had the creator of Ren and Stimpy on to confront it.
Okay. Yeah. I love when Sam gets incredulous with regards to their bullshit reactions and Robin parroting like, I don't know what it could have been.
Oh, it's just the ultimate gaslighting. I can't stand when people just completely feign ignorance.
Yeah.
It's just Oh, who, me? Doe in the woods?
Right.
Oh, Doe in the woods? I'm gonna get a rifle and shoot you right between the eyes, you fuck.
Right, but that was a boulder that hit you, not a bullet in the head. Yeah, it's and I didn't pull the trigger. You know, the gun went off somehow.
I'm going to right now. Fuck right off.
Yeah, it's disingenuous, and it's because the thing is, by this point, a lot of people were recording the show, and so this is where really the genesis of fan hatred starts within the mid 2000s, early 2000s, actually, because they're getting lied to, and they can play these things back, and they hear, no, you're full of shit. I'm not getting married. I'm not getting married. I got married. I'm not having a star-studded wedding. I had a star-studded wedding.
So he can pull this shit off now because there's so many disjointed listeners.
Oh yeah.
But back then, no, you can't. You couldn't. And we had all of these other, Stern Fan Network or other points to connect us together to say, that's a lie. robinswrong.com.
Right. Well, to the point where even his own bulletin board, he had to shut it down because it was uniformly negative. They kept fucking shitting on him, and I wish I could play those clips. But that's because he had no control over what people really thought, and that was his first taste of, oh, they really do think I'm an asshole.
Well, you were a uniform liar, and people are calling you out for being one.
Yep. So, take your medicine.
Yeah.
And when I called the show and asked him about it because I remember he looked really stricken. And he said a lot of people don't know, but the day before, he had buried his brother up in Boston, and he even made a joke about how there was a wreath there that said, "From your friends at the Howard Stern Show." I'm just wondering, is that something you regret? Is that like something that...
Do I regret what? Billy's brother dying?
Well, just going ahead with the bit the next day.
I didn't know Billy. I didn't even know Billy had a brother.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know he had a brother. Okay, that's fine. Maybe he didn't know. That's fine. But nobody would have told him, like, look, he's just coming back from burying his brother. Maybe Billy didn't tell anybody. It's entirely possible. But regardless, let's say he didn't fucking have a funeral that he just came back from. Who the fuck would have loved to have been sandbagged like that?
I don't know if he said anything to anybody, so that's a little gray for me. So I'm not sure. But Howard was never... Look at what bits he did. Somebody suicided themselves based on how he treated them. So I don't think it's beneath him to even consider behavior like that.
No, God, no. He's a sociopath. There's no way he would have given two shits or a fuck if he'd found out that Billy was, bereaving a sibling.
Look at the excuse he made for not going to Gary's father's funeral.
Yeah. Beth broke her fucking hook.
My drunk cokehead social life beard decided to stumble down a staircase.
Yeah.
How did we get a wreath?
I didn't even know that we had a wreath there. Did we have a wreath at Billy's funeral?
He was being facetious. I think he was being sarcastic.
Zero recollection of Billy's brother dying or about sending a wreath.
I didn't really know Billy all that well, honestly. Billy worked on the show. He was sort of a new guy on the show, if you think about it. And
such
God.
revisionist fucking BS. I didn't know who he was. This is no different than I was doodling. What happened?
I didn't really know how he was, but he knew enough about him to judge him on the fact he was disloyal and make all those judgments about his character.
As you'll hear. And also, he also knew enough to request that he work under the fucking table and don't tell his unions that he's getting less than scale, if he accepts.
He knew enough to basically call him a disloyal employee that's gambling with his career,
that I don't give a shit about.
Call him out in front of it on the air that could jeopardize future employment for him. Say that didn't work out, and jeopardize further employment for him. So he knew him enough for that.
Yep.
He knew him enough to throw his wife into the mix and chastise her.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
I like Billy. Maybe Billy was thrown by the fact that I'm not a real social kind of guy. I don't really pal around, but I never...
No,
yeah,
he didn't give a fuck
about friend.
He didn't give a fuck about your social. Yeah, he didn't give a fuck about your social ability or lack thereof. He just hated how he was fucking treated. And you know how he was treated, like shit, like spare parts. And he's going to go on to explain that himself.
Never have. I never will. I'm just that kind of fucking guy. But I don't know. I just liked Billy. I thought he was super talented, and I loved when he came on the show, and he decided to leave over a money issue. And, you know, I kind of begged Tom to keep Billy with the show. I thought he was strong. I also thought he was real strong just being a presence at K-Rock because he could add to their promos and everything. I mean, he was a strong player.
I kind of begged Tom. You don't kind of beg.
That's like Opie kind of begging Sirius to keep Anthony on after the racist nonsense. That's the kind of begging that Howard did. It's bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't work things out. And then I was like, wow, oh shit, Billy's leaving. But then I think Billy just like is mad at me somehow because he doesn't come on and do the show ever. And
did he participate in the because there was a highlight weekend of Billy West, right?
Now, by the way, guys, he will appear in the history of Howard Stern. Billy does appear to he records his recollection, basically, for the history of Howard Stern. And you'll hear that. But this is, a couple of years before, and they'd done some, like, Billy West spotlight that week or something like that.
I'm sorry, I'm exploding. I just made my cheeks blow up like a balloon and had to release it. I think he's mad at me. I don't know. You sandbagged him. Could you imagine if anybody did that to you? You sandbagged the guy.
Right. He spent 30 years goofing on fucking Steve Perry for calling him Big Bird. What do you think? but it's fine. Like that's the real venal sin. But somebody like Billy, what you did to him, I don't know why. I don't know why he's pissed. What did I do?
Could you imagine if the roles were reversed and let's say Billy had more power than Stern and he had Howard on a show and had Steve Dahl on to talk about what bits he stole from him. Could you
or the Grease
fucking
Man.
imagine?
Or anybody. All these guys, Alex Bennett, all these guys that he ripped off of over the years. And he'd be, first of all, he'd have no comeback. He'd have no reply. He'd be just fucking stunned into submission.
Let's have Rush on.
Yeah.
Let's have a political argument with Rush to see what a fucking idiot you are.
How much would you love to have him, Cumia, and Opie, Opie and Anthony in the same room doing it like
exactly
a back and forth with no bread, no water, just no windows, not able to get out. He'd be stuck to the chair. They're all locked in, and all they can do is talk.
Well, that's another reason why the O&A thing was so unfucking fair because he would never face them. He would never.
No.
He would never just go toe to toe with them in a market or in a sense of just get them in a room and have at it. Go toe to toe argument and have at the issues.
Well, the thing is also that some people may beg to differ, but I believe he saw the writing on the wall. He knew he was not going to make the same money at regular radio, and Matt, in fact, was going to start trending downward because they were cutting into his fucking ratings and would have supplanted him had he stayed. I'm sure of it. And as it is, he took the quick payday because he knew like that his earning days were going to come to an end. Like he's still making money, but he wasn't going to make the serious money that he did in that first contract if he had stayed at regular radio. Just wouldn't have.
And he couldn't hang. He couldn't hang the way Cumia could hang.
No.
And Cumia and Norton, what they brought on, and Opie brought a level to the ship. If it was just Anthony and Norton, it would have went a little bit off the rails, I believe. Yeah. I think Opie definitely studied that ship in a way that it needed to be studied during certain times. Yeah, he definitely fucked up a lot of bits, and I think he was definitely unfunny.
Yeah, he's untalented.
Kind of, yeah, for sure. And he definitely fucking drove the car off the street multiple times where it was like, what the fuck are you doing? But Anthony and Jimmy and that whole dynamic, I think Howard saw, I don't have that.
Yeah,
I don't have that.
He feared
and
it.
I don't know how to make that.
Yeah. He feared it, and he didn't have to. He didn't realize he just had to compete with himself, and he couldn't. That's the problem. He was losing against his own show, and the history and the memory of the show being so good. And when you lost Jackie, I love Artie, but it definitely the apex was way before Jackie left. And when Jackie really did leave, it just went further downhill. And Artie was sort of like the training wheels keeping the thing, steady, but then they can't last forever.
Well, he could have competed if he would have kept Artie, if he would have kept the realness and the fun time going, and the real aspect in the Sal, the Richard, the Artie, the Scott, the block parties, the back office radio, the real aspect going, the things that were working, they could have had a definite toe-to-toe match with O&A, I feel like. That could have been... You guys could have really duked it out, and it would have been incredible radio. And I would have loved to see real competition between the both of them. But unfortunately, his ego would have never let that happen.
No, because he couldn't chance losing. And that's exactly what he probably would have done.
And losing to his own people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
he did voiceovers for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he will do that, but he won't come on the show.
Yeah, I know Billy was really excited that we showcased all his work.
As a fan of the show, I think when Billy was here almost every day, it was a golden age of the show. I loved it. But at the same time, and I think learning from people in the past, their mistakes, I think Billy would say in his career, that's when he was certainly the most well-known, and probably doing, he just fit into this so perfectly.
Now, Artie's like I said, he's going to be a little diplomatic about it, but he's also going to kiss Howard's ass a little too much. And I think also this is the problem. But the end of 2008, the bro fight's already happened, and I believe Artie's like, I got to placate this fucker a little longer. I have to, tread very carefully here, because if he says too much, he's going to give Billy too much credit, and Wiggy's going to get pissed off at him again.
See, this never works well. So this is a bad politician.
Yes.
This is somebody that tries to play all sides and doesn't win.
No,
you're dumb.
And it's disingenuous as well. And Artie, he has to know. It's just same way he goes, "Oh, you're dating a supermodel" and all that shit. That's when I kind of was annoyed by Artie, because he couldn't just call a spade a spade. And when he got drunk, unfortunately when he was liquored up, that's when the courage came out and he could call someone a pelican.
When Artie was his best is when he was in the bro fight, when he said his truth.
Unfiltered
truth is when he was his best.
That's right. And it's not like we wanted to be a certain narrative, guys, like on his podcast when he started getting negative, because we know he was clearly drugged up and boozed up when he was talking shit about Howard in the interim, like when he was doing the Quitter podcast. But that's at least he was being honest, in my opinion. He wasn't. I don't think he was just trying to get a reaction. I think he was really saying, "Look, I'm fucking pissed."
I think you and I both agree, though. We love the Nick and Artie, like when he was pretty much, I think, sober or sober-ish.
For the first 6-8 months, yeah.
Yeah, you and I share clips. We love that.
It was
show.
great.
It was so great.
Oh, yeah.
In a way, I feel the same way about not that it's a golden age of the show because of me. I'm saying in my career,
right?
I'm pretty resigned to the fact that this is as good as I'm ever going to be somewhere. I just fit in here well, and I think he regretted maybe not staying with it because he was becoming a rock star. Billy, everybody loved him.
Billy,
and,
why would he be upset with him?
No, he was. First of all, he was not a rock. He was getting notoriety, but not money, and he would not have stayed, Artie. That's erroneous.
See, I think this is where again, with just how you said that, Artie downplays his own talent, and this is Artie's demise. This is his own self destruction, where he doesn't. This is my pinnacle. So why are you putting yourself at this is your pinnacle?
Right.
When you could have more than this. You could have more than this. Your talent is way better than what this is offering you. Well, don't let them trick you into thinking that this is all you're going to get and this is the best you're going to get. You could get better than this. And Billy was smart enough to know that he was better than that.
He recognized that his value was not being taken into consideration, and he left. Artie never got the full measure of his own worth at the show because they made sure to, say, "Oh, look, in the show business, they're not going to fucking put up with your drug shit. We will." And then also, you're not going to get a better gig than this. Look, you're getting all this stand-up money and stuff. And he was, but had he stayed and he continued that course, he would not have been getting repeat business again because people were fed up with his stand-up. I wish if we had any fans that saw Artie in those later years, his stand-up shows, people were getting they were bitching, saying it was awful. It's the same material. He's drunk, wasted our money. The openers were better. And it's sad. I don't want to say that about Artie. We love him so much, but I would never have gone to see him during those years because you would have heard every joke on the show.
Yeah. Though, it's interesting. Billy and Artie probably got the same type of treatment from the Stern Show, the not nurturing, break you down type of treatment. You're never going to get any better than this. This is the best it's going to get. You shouldn't go anywhere.
You take what we give you.
Correct. And this is two super talents who took it two completely different routes. One person thought, no, I know my worth. And one person thought, yeah, you're right. This is all I'm good for.
And Billy was a man. Like, that's the difference. Artie was way younger and Billy was a little older than Howard. And he's like, I don't need this shit. And he had the strength of will to say, I'm more talented than this. I can leave. I'm going to leave and I'm going to succeed. So fuck you. And that's exactly what you're going to hear from him, from the man himself.
Howard.
Well, I mean, I think maybe he's upset with himself for doing it and it manifests itself in other ways.
You know what, though? I'll tell you something. You're right. Billy was getting to the point where he was getting like Ivan Reitman hired him for that cartoon that they did, the animated cartoon.
Right.
And as opposed to the other kind of cartoon, what a fucking 79. He's talking about Space Jam, and I looked this up. Space Jam was released sometime in I think November '96.
Yeah, I loved that movie.
But I looked it up. He might actually be right with this because Ivan Reitman he was a part of the production. They started production 19 months earlier. So he's going to say that I only know Billy because I listened to the show. And we know Reitman was a fan of the show. That's a documented fact. So it's very possible he heard Billy and said, yeah, absolutely. That's one in Billy's favor. So I'm not going to give Stern shit about this particular fact because it most likely is true.
And didn't Ivan Reitman have something to do with private parts or script? Yeah.
Yeah, he took over the production for that when it was not getting off the ground because all these fucking scripts were being, thrown out and Wiggy was, just being an asshole. They needed someone to take charge of shit. Yeah, they needed someone to actually take charge of it and be the person to say, look, I'm going to hang my hat on this fucking production. He's just too much of a coward to let this thing go into production, Wiggy.
Wiggy was being Judy Garland.
Yeah,
like without
late stage Judy Garland at the Marquee or wherever it was in London. I mean, so the idea that Ivan gave Billy the job on the basis of his performances on Stern is entirely plausible, and the timeline works because it was a 19-month production. Space Jam, it was huge because they had to do the real action and then animation. I didn't see it. I'm sure you saw it back in the day because that was your era.
The soundtrack was huge. Everyone had the CD my age.
Yep.
Welcome to the Space Jam.
And it was a
with
huge
your
success.
Hands in the air if it feels fine.
So it was a huge
and it
success.
was huge. And then they sold all the merchandise. And back then, the Disney stores, every mall had a Disney store, and it was a Warner Brother Disney store. So they sold all the clothes and stuff for that. I mean, it was Michael Jordan back then. I mean, you couldn't get any bigger. You couldn't get any more iconic.
No. And it was kind of, the same way that Roger Rabbit was such a phenomenon. They made it work as well. I'm sure, but Roger Rabbit, the critics loved. Nobody loved Space Jam except, the fans, but the critics hated it. They really thought it was a piece of shit. And, but either way.
Of course it's a piece of shit, but it's a piece of shit everyone saw. And
that's right.
It's
the merchandising they must have cleaned up, man. Fuck.
Oh my God, the merchandise. Everyone had your Tweety Bird, Michael Jordan basketball tank top with the characters on it. Of course I did, and I had the shorts and everything. Everybody did.
Yep.
Ivan came to me and he said, because this was right around when Billy left. He'd hired him before Billy left. He goes, I hired Billy because I was working with Ivan. He said it was this Michael Jordan cartoon that was
Oh,
big.
yeah.
And Stern's also correct. In 95 through up until the release of Private Parts, the production goes like a year and a half because he's just being a fucking prima donna. And Space Jam's around the same time, except it's released about 4 months earlier before Private Parts is.
Space Jam.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie. Billy got hired to do the voice of Bugs Bunny and some other people.
That's a big gig, man.
So Ivan said to me, he goes, I hired Billy because I know him from your show. He said, there's a lot of guys who do Bugs Bunny. He goes, but I like Billy because he's on your show.
Oh, of course.
And I said, wow, that's really cool. He goes, it's his calling card. It's like everyone knows him from the show. And
no, they might have known him from the show, but if he doesn't have the talent, he doesn't get the gig is the inherent point he's missing here. It's
right.
It's all about him. He's on my show. It's on me. I'm responsible for this. So it's like what Chicago Bob said: denigrate, or or claim ownership, claim like kind of responsibility for that person's success,
and discard.
The discard is, that's the other option. And it's funny. It's like,
but isn't it incredible? Like if he didn't sound like Bugs Bunny.
Right.
He wouldn't be in the fucking movie.
Couldn't get the gig. Yeah. Just ask anybody just ask Sandy Hackett how he's doing with his stand-up. Just because your old man is talented, or Mindy Rickles. Oh my God, guys. I love Don Rickles, but his daughter is the direct opposite of talented. And if you see that fucking stand-up she's trying to do, it's awful. It really is awful. And but that's no slight against her because no one can be Don. You're not going to be your father, but on her own merits, it's not very funny. And so you feel bad because she's going into this field. Maybe do something else, And
I used to love the fact, like Melissa Rivers, she knew she wasn't a comedian. She went into production.
Yes.
Like she went into production.
How are you going to top your mother, one of the best best comics of all time? And,
all time.
Yeah. And so the best way is to go do something else.
Gee, he goes, I think he would have even been bigger.
Well,
even bigger.
I completely agree with you. I think he
kind of like
Billy,
away.
I wish Billy did stand up because the fact that
he does do stand up.
But on the level I do where he really went on the road because nobody has to tell me that this show makes me like almost a rock star to these people because I go and I see it. It's great to get that love.
Oh, fuck off already.
Kiss the ring. Kiss the ring.
Yeah, this is where you'll lose complete respect for him because he's clearly just sucking ass.
I mean, all I have in my head is like just a scene of like some Roman, some Cecil B. DeMille movie, and it's like palm leaves, and it's just like the camera goes, and it's just like wiggy in a fucking throne, and everybody's just fucking lapping his ass. It's disgusting.
It is, and it's sad that he has to, he requires that.
And I'm not delusional. I know that it's created from here.
He is.
Stay with the show. I do. It's a big sadness to me, but you couldn't really convince me. I think Billy just wanted to go try things on his own.
I think he wanted to be in Hollywood.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I don't think Billy just went away the way you said. He went out to the West Coast. He became like really one of the premier voice guys.
Yeah. I don't want to give the impression that he's some sort of loser. I mean, he's making a great living.
The unreliable narrator strikes again. Way to go, Bowie. Popping the balloon.
It really, you know what? It's so true. It's the unreliable narrator. It's like Russian literature. It's like all of a sudden this whole unreliable narrator's it's a Dostoevsky fucking novel.
Go back into the Robin Williams minisode, guys, where we played near the end. Bowie on the wrap-up show, the more recent wrap-up show, saying, I don't think Howard's right about that because I don't remember anything about the nanny in the original broadcast. And meanwhile, he just completely flies in the face of his fucking Pelican boss. What he's had to say?
Crazy. Like, that's not what happened.
No, it isn't.
Probably made 10 times more. First of all, he didn't work for us.
Right.
He worked for K-Rock.
Right.
And K-Rock said, go do Howard in the morning and go do this in the afternoon. And I think he was not happy with what he was paid at K-Rock.
He wasn't.
And so he went out west and he made probably, I'd say, 10 or 15 times more money, doing national Cheerio spots and national M&M spots. You hear him everywhere.
Wow. Well, it depends on what's more important to you.
But he had more fame with us, but he probably makes more money now. But if I had to guess, first of all, I've asked him to come back to the show so many times that I've lost count.
Okay, go ahead.
Bing, bing. Cheerios, M&Ms. So Bowie has just, in about 3 seconds, systematically took a sledgehammer to this narrative.
Yep. He got nationally funded, national corporate sponsors to pay him to do voiceover work. And you know how much fucking money there is for people in the field who do these things? Especially when if it's a national commercial, they get residuals up the fucking ass constantly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's just like saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, we had Cindy Crawford. She was, but then she just got Pepsi."
Exactly.
Big deal. She's just an intern here, and then she just got Pepsi.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately,
weird.
I think Billy would say, like, he wanted more money, but he also wanted a guaranteed gig. Like, and they weren't willing to give him the guaranteed gig for the money he would have wanted. But I think he would have accepted less money to be there doing that work if he had job security. And clearly there was none.
Yeah. Well over a dozen times.
And what is your answer ever?
Well, it depends on who you talk to, but this is what always makes you nervous. Whoever you talk to always goes out of their way to tell you, listen, first of all, just want you to know, Billy holds no animosity. Now, when I don't ask you if there's animosity, and that's the first thing you say, I start to think there's animosity.
Yeah, I think there is.
I think the animosity, if I had to guess, and this is just a pure guess, was that he wanted more money at K-Rock. He said he was going to leave, and I think there might have been some expectation that you...
Okay, got to break that one up, guys. Sorry.
Go in and say,
I did.
Wait a minute, may give him more money.
Like, you can make people.
So he's saying he did go on his behalf and not get the money. Bullshit. Did we not just hear him tell Fred that you're here because I want you to be here?
Yeah.
Essentially.
And then he pretended like it was his will.
Right. And then but here you're like, well, I asked and they wouldn't do it. Yeah, they wouldn't do what you said, but they did with the other people. My fucking ass.
Right. Go talk to Tom Giussano. He'll tell you I was there a million times and I said it to Mel. And he was Mel's guy. Mel brought him in. Mel loved Billy. And I said, well, why don't you make this guy, whole in a sense? That's always the way I talk to these guys. Why don't you really, step up? He seems like a worthwhile guy who you don't want to lose from this family.
Plus, in a company like that, there are millions of uses for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, he wanted Billy for as cheap as he fucking could. Didn't want to pay him. And Mel was just saying, Mel's a big tightwad, is a billionaire fucking tightwad. And they basically wanted him there for slave labor. The same way he treated Jackie, like, you take what you can fucking get. And that was the end of it. And Billy was like, I'm not going to swim in a pool it's been pissed in.
Yeah.
There's some way to pay the guy.
Brilliant guy. Brilliant.
Right. I've spoken to a lot of people.
They didn't make the investment in him. And, I even said to them, well, if you want, I'll use Billy any way you want. I said, if you only want to give me him a couple of days, I'll take him I'll take whatever you guys have put on the table. If Billy only wants to work part-time, I'll take Billy part-time. Whatever you want to do. And I said, if that's a way of working around Billy so Billy can go out and do his own thing. So I thought I was pretty accommodating, and somehow Billy took that as like I didn't care.
Oh.
What a fucking lying sack of shit.
Oh my God.
Like, he can go out and do his other things. We heard what you say about people that do their own fucking gigs. Remember when everybody went to the West Coast to do a gig and they left early that one time on a Friday?
Yeah.
And afterwards, what happened? Yeah, he was really happy about side gigs. Yeah. Bullshit. Fuck.
It's just unbelievable. Just the absolute nonsense that comes out of his mouth, and just the revisionist history of everything. And they just all sit there like, we're gonna just let this fly in the face of facts.
Don't hear anything from Fred.
No.
And Fred was one of the ones who was happiest he was probably left. Because he's, now I can do my fucking shit voices again. God damn it.
Yeah. For every silence you hear of Fred, it's another awful puppet that pops up now. So enjoy, everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, Howard, I know.
Billy once said to Tom that, gee, Howard doesn't want me full time. I said, I'd love to have you full time.
Oh, that's how he took it.
Yeah.
Like you were trying to get rid of him?
No, I was trying to say, hey,
I'll take him any way I can get
if I
him.
have him 1 day a week, I'll take him 1 day a week. Whatever you got, I'll take.
I've spoken to people who have spoken to him, and if Billy was sitting here right now, I believe he wouldn't be upfront with you. But I've gotten the impression that he definitely left you feeling wronged on some level.
Yeah,
and I just don't know what it is.
I agree with you.
But I don't know what it is.
I've talked to Billy since.
Is Howard the yellow wallpaper Charlotte Perkins Gelman, the psycho who wrote the yellow wallpaper? I mean, like, is he just inventing this as he goes along?
Of course.
The crazy, like, he just is just like, I seriously think he just is inventing this as he goes along.
Well,
He's
of
just
course.
inventing this as he goes along.
Well, that's what all unpolished liars do, the same thing. Whatever suits their narrative that second is what they're going to say. And you're supposed to take it. Yeah. And you, the fan, the dumbo fan, which, let's be honest, most of Stern fans were a bunch of dumbasses. They would just take it as a matter of course and not question, like, oh, you know what? Didn't he say he liked Lena Dunham today? Didn't he call her a fat pig yesterday? You know, like,
it's
which
my
is it?
truth. It's my truth. What? No, you're a liar.
The truth is like the asshole that that gets fucked at the fucking 700-person gangbang. The truth is the biggest casualty of this fucking show, and it's oh.
And I have no respect for people who can spout off so much trash talk.
Yeah.
And so much shit about certain facets of the show or people, and then they pretend that they don't say this stuff.
You're right. I lost all respect for Rogan after he would not condemn Amy Schumer for that obvious joke theft. He was dancing around it. Meanwhile, he helped to ruin Carlos Mencia's career, rightfully so, who was a no joke thief before internet became so prominent in the demise of his fucking stand-up, which it should have happened. But then even Dane Cook got into problems like with plagiarism. Dennis Leary would have lost his career a long time ago had the internet been what it was, more later on. But then to justify and say, there's an originality issue. That fucking documentary, that porcelain documentary you recommended to me, The Elephant in the Room.
Yes.
It's brilliant. It's a two-parter, guys,
Isn't
on
it
Amy Schumer.
amazing?
It's fantastic. The guy does such a good job. He deserves, if he's got a Patreon, you should give him a few shekels. It's worth it just for that two-parter alone. And he dissects her bullshit and Joe Rogan takes a hit, and he should. And then everybody else, Norton's the same. That fucking cockroach.
The worm turns.
Yeah, he does a great one on him too. And I mean, I have no respect for these people. Like when Norton trashed Steve Martin in a book, then met him and then apologized. That's when I lost all respect for him. Not that I had much to begin with, but I'm like, yes, you actually went after him for some good reason. There's no reason to remake the fucking Pink Panthers. And as a comedian, Steve Martin should have known better. And then his idea, well, I'm going to pay tribute to this friend of mine. Then pay tribute and talk about how awesome the original films were. Don't try to remake it as some kind of tribute. No one wants your fucking tribute. Leave well enough alone, asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Leave well enough alone. And then if you happen to see the person that you trash afterwards, don't dare
back up.
Backpedal.
How's that person supposed to look at you? Is any
spineless?
Yeah. I would have told Steve Martin, yeah, you deserve that, cocksucker. What do you think? Why do you think I wrote that? Because it's the truth. And maybe more of your friends should have told you. Maybe Martin Short should have told you. Why don't you go remake, I don't know, all the shit films you've been releasing since, 1985? Why don't you remake?
Any audience would respect, would any audience respect us for backpedaling and interviewing someone?
Well, yeah, we trash Shuli nonstop. If Shuli wants to come in and interview, sorry, not going to fucking happen. Pull the audio, grab this, save this, play this for that when we have Shuli on, which will never fucking happen. The next time it'll happen, when it does happen, you'll need a fucking oxygen tank to breathe by then, because it's just not gonna. When we talking shit about Brent and Caitlin and having them on, we would never do that.
Yeah, their character is awful.
Right. So why would you fucking tie your wagon to them? I just don't understand it. Anyway, some people just desperate, I suppose.
he left.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long after he left. And he never
Well, I think the
said
longer
to
it...
me that he was upset. He said it was time for him to leave. It's how he felt. And he hoped that Howard didn't bear him any ill will.
Yeah, I certainly don't. I love Billy.
Well, I do remember from listening to the master tapes that I think it was from just a few months ago.
I love Billy. My fucking Jesus Christ. I love that. Oh, come on, honey. Let's be friends.
Yeah.
I guess he was doing auditions and had missed like a rehearsal or something. And I do remember you going, little big man. And I think that may have gone up his ass sideways. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, a lot of we tease each other relentlessly on this show.
Oh, so Howard was baiting him.
Right.
And so now he's pretending like he doesn't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's why.
And people do blow up. I don't know, And I don't. Is Billy still married?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be great to get him back just one day.
He's been asked so many times that it's pointless to keep asking.
That's weird.
Yeah, we wouldn't ask anymore because it's almost like we're insulting the guy or something when we ask.
Well, I mean, how many times can you either be told no, or
I mean, if you ask a girl out 50 times and she says no, you kind of, are you
take a hint?
I'm sure you're used to it, Howard.
Exactly.
The guy who asks you 51 times, or do you finally say no?
Yeah, sometimes you get a no, and sometimes you just don't get a response ever, which is even more insulting.
That was the show really well, because Fred and him were great together. Fred could shine for a long time doing a voice, and then Billy could, and you involved, and Jackie writing. It was just it was a great time for the show. It was.
It was fun. But
fun, yeah, it was a total party,
Well, yeah, I was having a real party. Anyway, so
it seemed like it.
Hey, you have no idea how happy I was.
When I was in traffic on the Garden State Park.
You're never happy.
Yeah, well, that was the idea.
All he had to do was sit back and let them fucking fly, and he would collect massive amount of money for the talent that was, Billy and Jackie writing those lines.
And I want everyone to notice a theme. Howard's never happy. It doesn't matter what time period or who's on the show. This motherfucker is never happy. So I don't care what time period he's critiquing on. I don't care if it's the Billy era, Artie era, Jackie era, Robin or Fred, books, recently celebrities, whatever, COVID. I don't give a fucking shit. America's Got Talent. This motherfucker is never happy. So you're welcome to never being happy. You're never going to please King Baby.
No, it's some of the term I believe is called anhedonia, which is a Greek word, anhedonia, I think, or something. Anyway, I'm not sure. I got to get my Yiddish together to make that one sound correctly. But I believe it's inability to experience pleasure, and a lot of famous people do have that. Actually, it's a bottomless well. You can't sign enough autographs. You can't get enough fucking box office success. You can't get enough Academy Awards, and it's such an empty fucking life. I believe it was Harold Ramis in the Belushi biography. If anyone hasn't read it, it's the one just called Belushi, oral biography of John Belushi, and it's fantastic. And he said he talked to Chevy Chase one time. He said, Chevy, you can't make them all love you. And Chevy said, yes, I can. And he said it's such a self-defeating prophecy when you have that in mind. Like, you're never going to be able to sell. And Harold Ramis was fully aware. There are people in fucking Hollywood who don't want me, don't like me, wouldn't hire me for SNL. Like, fuck you, eat my dust, bitch. Here's Ghostbusters. Here's Stripes. Here's Meatballs. And I'm going to fucking take your stars, and I'm going to have writer and creator producer credit, and I'm going to fucking star in it and have, like, incredible success. And that's how Billy handled it.
You know, that word that you just said in Greek, whatever skrock that takes to say that word, I would love if you could make that sound and then dump it all over Howard. That would be great. Whatever that takes.
Based on our last episode, I think he already mastered it with the
that was insane. That was crazy. I said, so there was this. So I said,
guys, just so you know, it's Thermos Tutor needed, probably minute 1. Okay, 1 hour, 16 minutes through, something like that, or 1 hour, 18 minutes, something like that. If you want to scroll straight through it, where we recorded him, we played him hawking.
Yeah, the radio engineer left in a coughing, wheezing fit. And I could not believe how embarrassing it was and bad. And I go, oh my God. I literally fell off my couch, rolling on the floor like a beetle, laughing.
Sam
I was
called
crying.
him Wheeze Turd.
We Stardo. And I said it reminded me of the Toy Story toy when in the first Toy Story, the penguin, Woody goes, he looks behind the shelf. He goes, Wheezy, is that you? And there's a penguin behind the shelf covered in dust. He's like, ah!
Yeah.
It's like this wheeze box. He's like,
Yep.
It's so bad. He couldn't stop coughing. I was like, why isn't he muting himself? What is happening?
I loved it. I hurt myself laughing, and Raven, I think, was laughing more at my reaction because I just lost it. It was organic. We don't like. I laugh at my comments sometimes because I don't know. I'm easily amused, I suppose. But when that happened, when I heard that fucking thing the second time, and that coming out of nowhere, like, like this, 3 packs a day kind of cough.
It really was. It was just like I was picturing in my head, like, Shady Pines Rest Home, and people like just, taking their walkers and like.
He was dislodging a Buick from his throat.
It's just like,
so
who needs to have their bedpan emptied? It's
anyway,
just crazy.
So the next clip is called Staff Collectively Comment on His Decision to Leave.
Billy leaving the show, there's no story. It was none of my business, and I didn't know his business. I just loved him and still love him, and he was so talented, and just one day he wasn't there anymore. And it wasn't discussed, and, it was everything I could do to keep my place and try and get my money and try and, it was every man for himself, unfortunately.
Don Buchwald, as I remember the story.
This is my favorite part. Buchwald comes in and he's like dismissive of, obviously the wife was the manager, really. And he's like, the manager, whoever that was, exact same move his fucking main star client does. Whoever that is, dismissive, fucking Don asshole Fuckwald. Go ahead.
Doesn't this sound like some crazy, like, political change? Like one day they weren't there anymore, and we couldn't say anything about it.
Yeah, it was a coup d'etat.
Like, Howard didn't know
it's a
that
coup.
He was going. So Billy West and whoever his management was in conversation with the radio station. Next thing Howard knew was that Billy West was leaving.
The way Billy left the show was just really one of the weirdest things. Billy and I were very, very friendly, even outside of the show. We go out to dinner from time to time. We had a little group of people, Flo from Flo and Eddie, and
name dropping Bowie, latching on to someone so he can go talk with, so he can have dinner with Flo and Eddie. What an asshole.
He really is the biggest climber.
Oh yeah.
Just anybody to have dinner and drop a name and please give me $5.
You can see Bowie
he's the biggest name dropping panhandler there is.
He's such a fucking barnacle. Like he'd be with the gaffer for the Springsteen touring company, seeing if he could get in on, I don't know, some kind of like I don't know, backstage pass.
He's like the Delta Sonic dry when you're done with your car wash, and he's like the dry rag, like when it dries it with the automatic dryer, and it's just like the end of it, and they're like, please let me quick dry rag it off and give me $1 before you leave.
So blatantly obvious.
My wife and I and Billy and his girlfriend, who then became his wife, and a bunch of us, we just go out to dinner from time to time. And I always felt I had a great relationship with Billy. And one day I was on the phone, and Billy came by and he goes, hey, can I talk to you? I go, yeah, I'll be off this call in a second. He goes, well, I just want to say goodbye. Today's my last day. And I was like, whoa. So I said to the person on the phone, I'll call you right back. And I go, what's going on? And he goes, well, I asked for some things and they weren't able to give.
Now, before we continue that, so I think with Billy, it was clear he did the same thing that a lot of some staffers are smart to do. Just leave. Don't tell anybody you're leaving, because why do you need to get that fucking mockery? We've seen what happens to Scott Einziger and Sussy and and friggin' Stuttering John did it the right way, but he still had to eat shit on the way out.
Because they'll sabotage your career.
Yeah.
Look at the coup that goes on.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
a fucking total regime change, and like, it's fucking crazy. Next day you're at work and there's machine guns in the hallway, and don't you fucking say Billy's name.
Frankie DeChico be consigliere.
But to me, and I'm just going to move ahead. And I go, gosh, I'm really sorry. And I talked to him about it a little bit, but he really didn't give up that much, and that was the way I knew he was leaving.
Steve Grillo.
I remember the day that Billy West left.
Prepare for the wisdom, guys. And this is actually the reason why I left it in is because Grillo, the way he explains it, it's just adding to that whole environment of fear and paranoia. Like he's saying he got paranoid because he was afraid he was going to be fired. But what kind of fucking workplace do you have to be in where that's the overriding emotion and sensation you have when you hear news? Like, oh my God, am I fired?
Much that is actual fear, or from the radiation from the microwave that he had to endure from all those potatoes he had to cook.
Maybe.
It was a very odd thing because, working at the show, I would go through bouts of paranoia. Which
he's gonna jumpstart his pacemaker,
which is probably normal for anybody else being there. But I would go through severe bouts of paranoia where the fact that something went down on the air and I got yelled at or something, that I was getting fired. So I remember sitting across from Gary's office doing some work, and
it sounds like a bad trip every day. Sounds like a bad shroom trip every day.
Yeah, stay away from the brown acid.
Thinking I don't know why it was in my head, but I was like, they're gonna fire me. They're gonna fire me.
Really, you didn't use PEI potatoes, asshole. You're getting let go. Fuck you.
I can't.
You left the skin on.
Kind of like I had all this anxiety.
What?
He's covering his head.
Yeah.
Please don't kill me.
No, you just get this impression Jim Grillo's under a desk and there's like the fucking Virginia Tech shooter or something, and he's like, this is the Stern compound.
Lockdown drill.
Yeah.
He built up in me, and then I saw Gary walk by with his face on, and I was like, Gary, let me ask you a question. Are you gonna fire me? And he just looked up to me with like the saddest look in his eyes and goes, Billy West just quit. And I was like, what? And then suddenly my anxiety left. I felt bad, but I was like,
thank you, it was somebody else.
Oh my God, this is so, could you imagine?
This sounds healthy.
It's so tense and terrible and just really transparent.
Really is like Survivor, the Howard Stern version, or like, The Walking Dead. There's always a character dying every episode. And, this war of attrition.
Yeah. Everybody has to get their,
Bowie's got his survive. What's it called? An icon or idol? Whatever. He's got one to stave
the
off
lantern,
elimination.
and they have to put the wick out.
Yeah. Bowie's got the Gary puppet to save him.
But then I was like, oh, fuck, Billy West quit.
I didn't want to hang a lantern on it. The fact that I was leaving, I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought the show was a beautiful unit in and of itself, whether I was there or whether I wasn't. And, it was about money. I mean, how on earth could anyone have an issue with you if you stood to have a better future financially? But
yeah, because they're running the radio show like Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Weiss Tardo is like Ralph in Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
He's running it, and they're all fucking running around the island.
Does that make Robin piggy? Sorry.
I'm making a move, whether it's leaving or going to somewhere.
K-Rock General Manager Tom Giussano.
It was one of those monetary conflicts. I mean, Billy wanted a lot more money, and I had a budget, and we would frequently break the budget if we really felt compelled to do it, and we certainly wanted to keep Billy around, but there was a price.
There was a price. The price was clearly if they wanted him there, if they wanted to keep him, they could have ponied up the money. That's the takeaway, guys. Anyone want to disagree with this?
Oh, I'm sorry for laughing so hard, guys. It just blows my mind. But I also have to say, can you imagine not taking away from Robin's salary, that untalentless piece of shit, to pay for Billy's talent? You should have taken it out of her pocket. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's to kind of staggers the like even back then, people were like, what the fuck does she bring to the show?
And take it out of Howard's pocket. He was getting way more than he should have.
Oh, big time.
There's always a price.
A decision had to be made. And it killed me. It really did. I mean, I really loved it. I didn't like the way I was being double teamed by management. It was like, good cunt, bad cunt.
And management to me sounds like Chiasano and Mel, who claimed Howard claims Mel loved Billy, but not enough to keep him.
Oh, it definitely sounds like they were, behind the scenes working their angle to not pay him.
Oh yeah, they're saying you got to go see Howard. Oh, you got to go see Chiasano. Oh, you got to go see Mel. You got to same thing. Jackie, we talked about Jackie with the marbles episode that I did with Carrie. That they'd give him the go around and try to wear you out and to where you go. I'm not getting a fucking raise. And it was a war of, like I said, they're trying a war of attrition. See if we can wear you the fuck out. And Billy and Jackie was obstinate, and he got his raises. He stood firm, and Billy was obstinate, and he left.
Billy knew he was being fucked with. And there are some people, and contracts, fine, but there are some people who are firm, and this goes for legalities too. When you know you're fucked, you can sue for something like defamation, and you're going to have to go through it, but you have to stand firm and don't settle. If you really feel that way. And it's going to go through the process, and it's going to take a lot for you to do it, but do it. And I think Billy did the right thing.
Well, he did absolutely in retrospect and at the time, because ultimately, and if you're a professional and you're got some kind of body of work, you're always going to be employed as a voice actor, doing anything. He could have been doing narration for documentaries. He could have been doing commercials for all kinds of stations, promos, and making a shitload of money as a free agent.
I think they never would have paid Billy even close to what he was worth. Billy was smart to get out as early as he did.
You're right. Yeah, I agree.
That I just said. I can't believe I just said.
As far as I know, Billy was gone because of a money issue over at K-Rock. I think they should have paid him anything he wanted to stay. I know they used him as a utility player. They used him on the rest of the station, which I was never thrilled about. I was selfishly trying to keep Billy for myself.
No kidding.
Billy had to make a living, so Billy was with us a couple of days a week, and
he had to make a living. We couldn't afford to pay him. We wouldn't pay him.
So you want to know what would have happened? If you would have lessened your salary, Howard, and said, listen, take this amount of money out of the budget for K-Rock and put it into Billy's pocket, then you could have paid him to keep him for your show solely. You cheap piece of shit.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Used on a lot of commercials. And, I think a guy like that, so valuable. You do anything you can to keep him in radio.
This is some asshole bitching about his muffler, but not getting it fixed. It's making all this noise and
It's both sides. So he's talking out of both sides of his ass right now. So he's saying, I would have done anything to keep him, but you didn't, because you couldn't lessen your own purse pockets, even though you're living life fine. You didn't need all those millions of dollars. You could have paid him out of your own pocket, knowing that the radio station is cheap, knowing Robin's in way overpaid, under-talented, useless cunt. So let's say you give him the money that he deserves out of your own pocket for the radio station, solve that problem, fine.
Yeah.
You're also saying, oh, it's the radio station. You're talking out of both sides of your ass.
And think about this, Sam. It wouldn't have even had to come out of his own pocket. He could have literally said to the sponsors, Billy's going to do this and he's going to get the income. So he could have let the sponsors pay Billy the money he was looking for. And they could have guaranteed him that kind of work regularly, and it wouldn't have cost Wiggy a cent, except for prospective dollars.
Right, because advertising they were garnering more advertising because they were getting more popular because Billy was making the show more popular.
That's right.
So you were getting more ad revenue for stations based on Billy's performances. That alone, if you think of it in the way, let's say social media now, you're getting more clicks. You're getting more this. Billy alone should have gotten paid more based on his draw for ads, based on listeners. You should have looked at the fact of when Billy started and how many more listeners you got from the time he started. Seen how many more it was and paid him on that basis. The fact you didn't, that's your fault entirely. Howard's fault alone.
Yes, it is. Blame falls on him. And the thing is, he basically, the show was on fumes thereafter. And it was sort of like, it was enough to kind of keep the car rolling. But then finally you get to, late series, mid-series, and all of a sudden it's definitely trending downward. There's just no two ways about it. Anybody who wants to think differently, just think of how much more dead air there was and just sort of stupid bullshit clips and crappy interviews. Anyway, I digress. And we'll let this play out because we got a lot to get through.
Radio needs talent like Billy's. But, he went on to, I suppose, greener pastures. He went out to California. I never heard from him since, so I imagine he's making a very good living out there.
Scott Salem.
I think he was the first to actually leave the show because of salary dispute. I mean, everybody's had salary disputes with their bosses. You always want more money, obviously. And I guess that he really felt that he was underpaid by a lot and felt that he could do better going out doing these voices. I mean, he was doing cartoons at this point.
Yes, he was. And he was very much in demand. And that was the basis of leaving. He's like, I will go where the industry wants me to. And New York isn't the place, obviously. And actually, California would have been a way better place for voice work in general anyway.
Yeah, like I said.
Across the board, yeah.
Wealth, the cooperation of capital and labor. And guess what? They're going to pony up the capital if you have really good labor. And Billy had the talent in that labor. So they're going to fucking pay.
Yeah.
They're going to want you because you're talented.
Except that in his case, it was all ego. Ego destroyed the show. His own stupid ego couldn't allow for someone else to outshine him. And Jackie's going to make reference to that from a video that we're going to play.
Working for Nickelodeon, doing Doug and doing Ren and Stimpy. And so his, voiceover career was starting to really take off. So I guess he felt he can do a lot better moving out to L.A. and doing voice work there, which eventually turned into, he eventually did Space Jam as the voice of Bugs Bunny with Michael Jordan. So it looks like it worked out pretty well for him.
We love
you
Bill.
think?
It's just a bit.
Had him.
Michael Jordan, R. Kelly soundtrack, no big deal.
Yeah, nothing.
Contribute to the show as much as he possibly could, but he had greater ambitions, I suppose, in terms of...
Such a hater.
I suppose, as opposed to me with my green drink and the Vegetation of Robin and my 15 foundation that's defunct.
And my
Lotus
failed talk show pilot that never saw the light of day.
Hashtag I love.
You were going somewhere with that. I was just waiting.
I love Brendan Murphy.
Okay.
Movie work and television work, and New York is not the greatest place for a voice person to be if that's what you really want to do. And also there were money issues, I suppose, with the station, and he didn't feel that he was compensated enough or appreciated enough by the radio station. And we really didn't have anything to do with that. He was a radio station employee.
Way to toe the fucking company line, Robin.
I like how Robin acts like she knows what's going on, but Robin always feigned ignorance about what's not. When people had problems, she always said, I just do my job. I don't even know.
I suppose.
I don't know what's even going on. I just come in.
See no evil.
My news. I don't know.
See no racism, hear no racism. See no cheapness, hear no cheapness. Her and Fred were just two fucking fearful fraternal twins, in the studio, just like deathly afraid. And Jackie's right. Had they all gotten together, said, we want a collective bargaining agreement and not been with Buchwald and just been someone like independent, with some other agent, he would have just had no choice but to give them what they wanted, or at least more money.
That's the union that should have been formed.
Oh yeah, and they were just fearful because they had nothing to back themselves up on. Although, if you have any kind of radio history, like a CV, Robin could have got paid less going somewhere else, but she would have found a job somewhere. Somebody would have been stupid enough to think, "Wow, she was with Stern. I can tap her for something," and then find out you got this useless piece of shit.
What should have happened was Artie, Robin, Fred, when they moved to Sirius, they should have formed something.
Yes, I agree. And they would have had him over a barrel because he could not have done the show without them.
Because they couldn't have re-signed. They should have, because they had those years, and when they had to re-sign, they would have had him over a fucking barrel. They made major mistakes being loyal to him.
If you were Artie, how much would you have held out for? At least a couple million?
He made so many mistakes. I can't even talk about it. I'll fucking explode.
You get agita.
Yeah.
And we got to use him on the show, so we understood when he had to go. We were sorry to see him leave, but we understood, and he's, I suppose, happier doing what he's doing.
After I left the Stern show,
You think?
I'm being honest, totally honest. I didn't look back. It didn't kill me to leave. I knew that I had to pursue a future, and I had to walk alone like anybody else who has a goal and has to get there without the help of anybody.
Okay, we're going to continue. Keep going, Billy. We love you.
You have to do it by yourself. But I heard a few things where I said, God, I know exactly the look I would have gotten from Howard, and it would be like this invisible cue to just go nuts. And I missed that stuff. I did, because there was no rules. It was very free. And I felt like there wasn't anything you couldn't do. I mean, creatively. It's a beautiful feeling, and it's very rare to feel that free. I'm just telling you. It's like.
So what's your take on what he's saying so far? Like, basically, he's looking. There's fond memories, but it's still overshadowed by the departure.
So he's being honest in the sense of that creative environment, which I think Howard did create that environment, which Billy, we saw him thrive in. That's why we loved him. That's honest. And Billy's not a dishonest person. So of course I believe that. That's why we loved him.
Yeah.
Right?
So
by the way, who doesn't love that? But loving that's the part that keeps you somewhere. When you are comfortable and you love something so much and the nostalgia of it, that's what ties you to something. But when you know that you're being manipulated because that person knows you love something so much and you're being mistreated, that's when you're abused.
Yes.
That's when you're abused. When somebody knows that you love that environment, but you're being mistreated, that's when you're fucked over. And Howard knew he fucking loved that creative freedom. And he knew he was fucking shining on there. And he knew that his ability was shining on there. And he knew that he loved that freedom. And so he took that and made something wonderful, awful for him.
Yeah. He couldn't let go. He couldn't let go of his own head and that fucking wig of his. And he decided, okay, I'm going to sabotage my own show and I'm going to railroad this guy.
So it's not Billy who canceled the Stern show part of him. It's Howard. Because he would have kept doing it if he would have given him the correct financial agreement and the correct financial,
remuneration. Yeah, absolutely. So what he deserved. Yeah, at least not necessarily a cut of the show, but something, at least a comfortable fucking living. Yeah.
Listen, I'm happy to creatively keep doing this with you, but you need to pay me for what we're doing here.
Yep.
Answer to the man. You're always going to be working for the man no matter what you do. I just don't have one particular man that I work for.
Clip number 3, guys. Callers ask about Billy, but hey, fuck him. But we wish him well. Sound familiar?
Hey, Howard.
Yes.
Hey, what's the story with Billy?
Oh, what happened?
Billy.
There we go.
Billy who?
No.
Thanks.
No, there's no story with Billy. What's the story with Billy? Baltimore, you're on the air.
Is Billy no longer on the show?
Real callers getting in, asking him the question he doesn't want to answer. I love it.
Billy who?
Yeah.
And Billy who? This is
He's our
the
bro.
foray into the, by the way, if they were trying to prepare for like a setup call to denounce somebody, they would, of course, purposely do this so they could trash it. But real callers like this, you can't deny. So what's the story with Billy? You would never get that through.
Well, that's the thing. So, like, he started to do more fake calling later on, like, especially when Casey joined, and all of a sudden, these like the suicide jumper we prevented. That was earlier, I think, but just became more obvious that there were certain callers that were geared, like designed, like they said, you call in now. And I mean, didn't Hansy out them? Didn't Hansy out Bowie is emailing him, say, hey, you can call in now.
Yes. Yeah.
Like this is your time to call in.
Yeah, he basically, back before Project Veritas, he Project Veritas them.
Yeah, totally.
and he released the real thing on YouTube. Hansy's the original Project Veritas for the Stern Show.
Gotta love Hansy.
And it's so funny too, because imagine now if somebody called in and was just like, hey, I just listened to that Bella Thorne interview. What's the story with what the hell the fuck that was?
Exactly. Some kind of fruit?
What the fuck was that train wreck?
Yeah, for the tequila one. Jesus Christ.
I'm not sure.
It doesn't look like he's here today.
He's not here today.
Oh.
Okay, thanks.
That the pause, and I don't know, and I can't tell you, I'm not sure. That shows you he's clearly uncomfortable. He's or pissed or uncomfortable, but either way, same effect.
When does he ever not know something in regards to his show?
Yeah, he loves not knowing.
Say, hey, where's Billy? What happened to Billy? Why isn't Billy here? He just didn't go there, because there's nothing anybody could do. Exactly what happened, I still have no idea. I'm sure.
He said, you just don't go there. You didn't go there. Why? Because it was going to piss off the boss. That's what he's not saying.
Well, how weird is that? The fact that everybody knew the edicts about the show and what had to happen, how to please the boss, what had to happen at certain times, what temperature your potatoes had to come at what time, how you're curling iron, if it had to be 1/4 inch rolled. And what I'm saying,
curlers to bring in,
what tech vest you were wearing that day. But I'm just saying, it's so bizarre that he knew every facet about his show down to the letter, except for when he didn't know. And then he didn't inform anybody else on the show either.
Shitty liar. Just a
weird
liar. Yeah.
They didn't come to terms, and he just wasn't there. But it was weird, and I don't think it was addressed on the show. Like, oh, you may notice Billy's not here. I don't think, where's Billy?
The fan reaction was they were crying. They were like, "Where's Jackie Puppet? Where's Larry Fine? Where's all these characters?" It was just, people were pissed and they wanted him back.
Anytime you add someone to,
imagine having a hit show. And then all of a sudden, one of the main characters just isn't on, and you think you're going to get away with it.
Yeah, like Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men, and they bring in fucking Ashton Kutcher, and it limps along for a couple seasons, but that's the same, it's like for like.
Yeah. Yeah, we notice Jennifer is not the same in Back to the Future, too.
And or even like let's use Charlie Sheen again in another fucking train wreck, the Spin City when Michael J. Fox had to step down from the show because of his disability, and then they brought him in. Like I guess a lot of shows, it's like Howard. The similarity is like the similarity is very simple. Like it has enough momentum. The show has enough momentum to seem as though it's plugging along successfully, but it's just vapors. Like there's just no gas left in the tank.
Yeah, we know the mom is different in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Why aren't you telling us that? We notice.
Well, it's not exactly the same. Like when soap operas would age a kid suddenly and they become like a teen character, or they become like an adult because they needed to make that storyline. So the kid's 7. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a terminology for it. So the kid's like 7 and all of a sudden they're 18.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, they do it like in Matilda. When Matilda in the story, they,
Right.
they age her from like a infant to a 7-year-old in like,
Right.
5 minutes.
Right. So that works. But with this, it's like, okay, it's a clear, you lost the axle on your fucking car and you're still driving it as though nothing's wrong.
It's just so bizarre. But then the bizarre part, okay, I understand if you don't want to tell the audience in some facet, okay, fine. But not to tell the people on the show.
Yep.
That's the weirder part. It's not even the fact that, okay, let's even set aside the audience part. Why the hell aren't you telling your employees what's going on?
Well,
what the fuck is that? And you want to know why he's not telling them? Because they would collectively bargain with Billy. Jackie would side with Billy.
Oh, totally. And he kind of uttered it himself. It was every man for himself, unfortunately. And yeah, and this is what happens.
That group in the room, it changes the dynamics of the show. And of course, if they decide to leave, then that gap they leave once they've been a part of things has to be filled in.
Former intern Gay Rich.
Everybody was curious why Billy left and what happened, and they would call constantly to, voice their opinion. It was 50-50. People missed him, people didn't. Honestly.
Okay, well, it's still is a lot of people.
I don't believe it was 50-50. I believe
I don't
it was
think so either.
50% Howard told people, here, do this. Or people put them up to calling, just like the way people put them up to standing in line for private parts, like my friends who were paid to stand in line.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, ultimately, what would be more galling? I don't know, you've got this big show and you're the head of the show, and all of a sudden people are going, where is this person? And if you can't be forthright, why isn't the reason told? Because there's either controversy involved and you're trying to keep that under wraps, or you're afraid of you looking like shit as a result of it, and you know that that's the real truth. I mean, Howard, he wants the show to be as good as it is, and he's going to blame everything on management. Like, I'm your boss, except when it comes to your salary, you got to go to management, right? And I'm the one who's responsible for your getting employment, but not for you getting enough money. Fuck off.
I think the talent was just so obscenely good, and you just can't deny that the flow. You can't just say, "Oh, the flow just wasn't there." It was so there. Even Artie said, "You guys, it was magic."
It was amazing, really, really amazing, and obviously a bit dated because of the references. But obviously, what else? Anybody's going to be dated because you're talking about current political people at the time. Yeah,
dated fine, but it was also the like I said, Billy was showing and shining a light on people who were racist or who were so backwards thinking by being so in your face racist or so in your face out of control, being those characters,
holding a mirror
up to it and saying, yeah, these are who these people are. How do you like it?
Yep.
The show went on and it moved forward, and whenever there was a change, the fans got frustrated in the beginning, but then it always worked out for the best or evolved or, for the better.
He's really, really a talented guy. But it was the Howard Stern show, and is the Howard Stern show. And the only person who's irreplaceable is Howard. And
fuck you, corporate speak.
Doesn't that sound like a weird yoga cult? Like, it is the Howard Stern show. It's the Howard Stern show. Only Howard Stern. It's the Howard Stern show.
Not only that, the way Tom's spinning it, first of all, he's the one that's irreplaceable, not wanting to say Howard should have gone to bat for him if he really wanted him on the show, A. B, he's implying that because it's the Howard Stern show, he left. Because Howard was the boss, Howard had a hand in it. He's just subtly saying that. He's subtly saying, Howard wanted it this way. He decided to let this go this way. He's the boss.
Yeah, but it also sounds like cult speak. It sounds like Maharishi Stern speak.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like, okay, let's look at someone like George Martin, who produced the Beatles, right? What did he do after the Beatles? Nothing. So was he really responsible, or was he just the guy twiddling the fucking engineering knobs?
People who came and left discovered that over the years, that as long as it's his name on the door, and his voice on the air, and he's kind of holding the baton, conducting the chorus can change, but as long as the conductor doesn't, it's going to be a very successful show.
Hey, whatever happened with Billy? Why are you so quiet about that?
I'm not quiet. Everyone keeps saying I'm quiet about Billy. Billy's in California. What do you want from me? Billy walked out and went to...
I love that. See how much angry he's got? What do you want from me?
As long as the conductor is conducting the show will be successful. Well, I guess that's a failed theory.
Completely. Yeah. I mean, it took longer to illustrate that, but it was obvious right away, and then it became more and more obvious the years that passed.
Yeah.
Like, was it funny? But was it funny before Billy? I'm sure it was. At certain points. But it became so good with him, and then afterwards, it was still good. I mean, but it was definitely going down because he was the divorce shit. I don't want to get into it because it's sort of into jump the shark territory again. We've already covered that, but I don't think anybody who was a fan could think of post 97 and post 95 Billy definitely as the point where it started going downhill. Still high, like still on a mountain, but going down, clearly angling down.
I just wonder how much was it Howard's thought or Tim's thought in creating what was definitely the next level of creativity for what was the next jumping point for the Stern Show, which we loved, that Sirius era.
You mean the like back office radio and all that stuff.
The new stuff that already.
I'd say it was Tim. Tim looking for any angle he could to make it entertaining, knowing that the host isn't going to do any of the work, first of all. And second of all, he has a limited budget. So this is why you get Riley getting fucking $500 a month for all these shows and, if that, and then begging for money all the time because he's clearly underpaid. And then other people being offered bullshit. You ever hear the Adam Carolla explanation of Sirius trying to gauge his interest and telling them, like, to fuck off? You're not even giving me a number. And you're offering me bullshit. So that's probably how it all worked for everybody.
This is it's just interesting. He says, the conductor, and the way Tim phrases this is also
not Tim, Tom.
I'm sorry, Tom. The way Tom phrases this, it's interesting because he says it's so finite, meaning the blame will be on him if it fails.
Mm-hmm.
So
if it's you're right. It's a double-edged sword. If the conductor is what makes it good, and if it sucks, then it's on him as well.
That's right.
Good. Well, interesting way to put it.
California. What can I do? He has ambitions and goals that he wants to do, and Billy's still our friend. I'm not being quiet about Billy. Everyone accuses me of being quiet about Billy. Billy shows up one day in my office and says, "I'm going to California." I said, "Okay. What do you want from me?"
This guy's one dog's going the other way and the other dog's pointing the other way, and this guy's looking at me like, what do you want from me?
That's how it went. Billy just said, I'm going to California. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, you're just
humana.
No, I mean, I've explained this 37 times.
Okay, I didn't know there was something like that.
It's funny.
It is funny. It's just it's so asinine, this explanation. He just said, I'm going to California, and what do you want from me?
That's right. He just didn't show up for work one day.
No scandal.
Watch me conduct.
Zero. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Take care, dude. Bye. Everyone's looking for conspiracy with me.
Okay, this last one's more passive-aggressive fuckery.
I was really sad when Billy's run on the show ended. I'm not even sure how it ended. I've heard over the years that Billy was mad. I don't know if he was angry with me, or I know for my part, I was only interested in keeping Billy around.
Lie. He just was sure how it ended. He came into show one day and just said he wanted to go to California. Bye.
Bingo. We should have a buzzer.
Billy was great. Super talent. And I think he's always going to be missed. I wish Billy would still do the show. I don't know. He seems not to want to do it.
When he does that, that pausing, that's him trying to do the human impersonation of, like, I got to compliment this guy just enough to make it seem as though I don't hate his fucking guts and I'm not jealous of him and fucking angry that he left me. because he wouldn't work for nothing.
You always do a great job of understanding when he does the thing and really understanding what he means by that.
Well,
and when you say that, I also notice he always says sad. And who says I was really sad by this, but never sounds sad at all?
No, Red, that's right.
I mean, when somebody says I'm sad about something, I don't ever say I'm sad about something and sound not sad in the slightest.
It reminds
I've
me
never
of
someone sound less sad.
it reminds me of Pedro Armendariz on in the Bond film From Russia with Love, when his mistress is in the parlor with him and she's trying to get him to get some action going. She goes, "You are not thrilled to see me, Sherry," and he goes, "Overjoyed."
Yeah.
And he's clearly annoyed as shit. Same kind of, yeah, you're right. It's a good observation on your part. It's like I said, Ed Bradley going, you got emotional, when you mentioned about your staff and how you were kind of distant from them. He goes, yeah, I do. You can see him like pulling out nose like cilia, trying to fake tears or whatever.
Yes, it's just I was very sad about Billy leaving.
It hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm sad about my divorce.
Is anybody welling up?
It's funny when he went and announced the separation with Allison. It sounded like the saddest thing he was most sad about was how much money he was going to lose in the divorce, and that's about it, because that's all he ended up bitching about in the end.
Oh my God! Yeah, you could just hear the crying from your pocketbook.
Yeah, my wallet was tearing up.
Maybe I should pick up the phone and call him and ask him why. I might even have. I don't know. Did I ever try to contact Billy or what?
Yeah, you don't know.
When Howard cries, bank statements fall from his eyes.
I always felt like I was bothering the guy. Maybe that's my stupid personality. I probably should pick up the phone and call him, but we've invited him on many times.
I love how he doesn't know. I don't know. Did I contact him? Did I talk to him? I'm not sure. I really don't know. I'm not sure. But you know what I do know? I haven't talked to Dr. Lou in 20 years, and he emailed me, and I didn't help him.
20 years. I love that clip.
And I would love to have Billy be part of the show. If Billy came to us today and said, "Hey, you mind if I do a day or two a week?" I would be thrilled.
I don't know
for
if we
free.
could afford to have
Yeah, for free. Exactly. That was not lost on me either.
Billy West back on this show because his I'm sure his costs are way too high. He certainly has enough FU money from the Ren and Stimpy stuff, and
Fred nailing the cheap coffin shut.
Oh, Fred. So when you did what was that one movie he did? It's such a cult classic with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Ryan.
Cruel Intentions.
Cruel Intentions. He got that. Fred, you didn't get enough fuck you money from that.
Or from SVU, playing a pot dealer.
The tons of other things that he has done. From what I understand, he's probably doing quite well financially, and he basically doesn't need us. Unless he wanted to just kind of come in and hang out or something like that. I think Billy has kind of like moved on to his realm, the world of Billy West, and God bless him.
I would love to.
Fred sounds so fucking like, it sounds like he's right up Howard's ass with him as well, and so afraid to actually say, "I'm glad he left. It gave more room for me. I was jealous, I was nervous, I was scared, and I was completely revealed as a talentless shit when Billy was next to me."
Fred was exposed for how talentless in comparison he was.
In comparison,
yeah. So Fred definitely then latched on to, well, my talent is going to be my loyalty. Yes. My loyalty is going to gold star my ass all the way to the top. Watch me shine.
Yep. And then now
and
the result is you never hear from him.
Watch me repress anger throughout my shininess.
Exactly.
To see Billy come back as a guest. I've tried for years and years and years to get him to come back as a guest, and I've never been able to figure out why he won't come back, and I sort of left it at, I'm not going to ask anymore. Billy's like well aware that I would love to have him on as a guest. I mean, we tried to get him back as a guest a couple times after he left.
after Jackie left, we invited him to come and sit back in on the show.
Again, for a tryout or something? I'm not quite sure if he was meant to be one of the illustrious, win Jackie's job hunt contestants.
I'm sorry, Fred, are you slitting your wrists under the desk?
Tried to get him to come in for the last days of the show. I tried to get him to come in for some of the roasts. And I was just sort of like, you know what, man? When he's ready to come back, he'll come back.
Scott, the engineer.
I would love to see Billy come back and do some of the voices that he used to do on the show, but for some reason he harbored some anger towards the show that I never could understand. I knew he had a salary dispute, but...
So they're all dancing around this anger. Like, I don't know why he left. Now I think he's angry. Which is it? And it's because, I'm sure, because Billy didn't tell... Billy might have told some people and it kind of got around, so it was a bad, version of the telephone game. But clearly they know, somebody knows something, that he really was pissed off about how he was fucking treated by the show.
Well, we can all do the dance around game and go on obsolete shithole podcasts and not really tell what's going on when we decide to leave. So that's an option too.
Yeah.
When he was asked to come back and make a phone call or say hello, he resisted. He didn't want to do it. He just, I don't know what the reason was. I don't know why.
The reason is he wouldn't get paid to appear, and no one wants to do it. You do the fucking Letterman show, you're at least going to get union scale. You go on Stern, you get nothing.
Bagel? Water?
Couldn't I get a $15 bagel?
The hostility and the anger.
Poland Spring?
Exactly.
Please?
Yeah.
Great guy to work with, and I was surprised that he would never want to come back and do anything with the show.
I was surprised. Are you still surprised, Scott?
He was literally coffee lip sweating.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have him back. I mean, he's phenomenal. And, being able to sit in the studio and watch him just was great.
A Billy reunion? Oh, man, I could see it tomorrow. If Billy walked in tomorrow, I bet you we'd pick up right where we left off. I would love to have Billy on the show again.
You couldn't sound more dispassionate. When his kid was born, he probably sounded the exact same. Yeah, I'm a father.
The virtue cliche signaling sounds so sincere.
Yeah, totally.
Sounds like a NATO summit. Keep going.
I'd love to have him on. God, your girlfriend looks really hot. Mm-hmm.
Really want to see that? Isn't that more of a hindsight dream? It was a great part of my life, but see, I'm telling you the honest God truth. I felt exactly the opposite when I was there. I felt like that I was worthless to the whole thing. And that was facilitated by the way I was being treated by management. I felt totally fucking useless. I'd walk out of there after I blew the doors out of the place, and this automaton would walk up to me and just go, hi.
Okay, so there you have really the closest you're going to get to the actual truth, even though we get the video of him and Jackie and Stuttering John, and we'll play that. But he's telling you right there, he was ill-treated by the show. He's going to blame management, but the blame stops at fucking El Wigo.
If you're valued, whether it's, when you're valued, whether you're a child in school or whether you're adult in your career, when you're valued and when you're not. It's not that hard.
You know both. Absolutely know when you're being treated like shit, and when you're being respected. And clearly he was being marginalized on some level.
And by the way, Fillmore, that goes for your personal hobbies as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say to myself, you shit fuck, this is the last stop on the bus for you. You know that, don't you? And I knew that my goals were a little beyond.
Billy didn't burn any bridges. Billy was always just a good guy, team player, worked hard, and he had incredible talent. Some people with that kind of talent would be a major pain in the ass, but not Billy. A lot of fun to hang out with off the air, too. I am very nostalgic for the Billy years.
He just said I was inaccessible, but I was fun to hang out with.
I didn't really know Billy that well. I'm not really that type of guy to have friends.
Yeah.
I don't really know what a friend is. A friend is a guy who cleans shit out of his underwear. That's what Howard thinks a friend is.
Yeah, and helps him with this insert his anal thermometer. This clip we're going to play is him on rebutting Bowie as to why he doesn't respond.
I don't know what happened on that show.
I don't even know what it stands for.
Can I tell you something?
Many times, Gary, I would talk to him here and there. Once in a blue moon, he'd say, how come you don't come in? And I'm like, Gary, what am I going to do? I don't even know anybody on the show anymore. I don't know who the newest wacky two guys that
What's
fuck
the
each
inside
other.
thing?
Yeah, I don't know the rhythms. The show had a particular rhythm when we were on there, and that rhythm, it took a while to build it up, and then all of a sudden, the same people were not there, so I don't know how anything works, and,
So there's only a few seconds left, guys. Hold on.
I mean, it's just like, I never look back anyway.
Okay, I never look back anyway. That's the nice way of putting it. Then we're going to play real quick, guys. Billy on actually the John Kay episode itself.
A lot of people think I left because they brought in John Cristofalusi from Ren and Stimpy, who came in there to sandbag me and bring in one of his disciples with him, and Howard,
But that might have been heavy to you, but that was lost on everybody else.
I don't know, but you know what it was is that I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, he got himself fired from his own show,
Right.
And then now he wants me to treat him like he's my partner. I was a hired gun.
So again, Billy explaining exactly what we did in the earlier episode, and whichever part that you're actually listening to, which one it was involved, where he knew it was an ambush, and he knew, and he's going to claim that it didn't bother him, but at the same time he's going to turn back on that in one of these clips and just slightly explain how it did bother him. So I think he's just trying to be taking the high road again, but not able to completely keep that information from us. He was pissed off at it.
But again, being very diplomatic, pragmatic, and in the situation where he was at in his career and what was going on, totally logically doing the thing he should have done in his career.
Yes. And trying to negotiate those waters without getting, seen as an asshole or, unbankable or like not professional, whatever. So he was anything if he was professional above all else. Yep.
And he also did the smart thing where he didn't hitch his ride into an abusive situation, abusive with Howard, where he was getting not paid according to his talent and abused, and also lessening himself and not being paid accordingly. Also not, with the Ren and Stimpy thing, hitching himself to a guy that was clearly flagrantly pissing off executives and fucking kids and whatever the fuck else was happening with that guy.
Yep.
Being a very smart person with his career, smart, careful, calculated person with his career.
And if you think about it, if he'd stayed and they started getting into the swearing aspect of the show and the profanity and getting into the Columbine stuff, he really did avoid getting hurt by any of the blowback, because as a voiceover guy, if your voice is on something like talking about some, I don't know, really sexual thing, maybe you don't get the job with like a puritanical producer or, some exec who says he's not right for it because he was on the Howard Stern show, that fucking filth merchant. So we can't have the voice of this guy who said such awful stuff also be a kids programming, voice actor. So
you're right. He had a window of where it was raunchy acceptable for such a period of time.
That's right.
Where it was known to some people to grab the attention of the people that it had to leverage him to other platforms.
That's right.
That, let him go to other avenues and make more money and open more doors. And then he went for it and left, which he should have. Because if he would have stayed, that could have,
backfired.
mucked up other opportunities.
Completely. Like Artie, when he said he lost a 7-Eleven gig that was worth $750,000 because he told a heroin story on the air. He said that week he decided to tell this story and he lost the gig, and it would have been like a national ad for 7-Eleven, and that was money right out of his fucking pocket. Did Howard make up for that? No. Would he have been expected to? No, of course not. But just illustrates the point of you say too much on that show, and who knows what sticks to you as a result, even by association. Even if it's not you saying it, they could hurt you in other ways. So,
you know what it's like. It's like somebody hires you for a part. You go in there. You don't like fasten yourself to someone else, and then when they have problems, that they're your problems.
Yeah, no. It's
yeah. So
work for hire.
So
they brought him in, and I had just come back from burying my brother. My brother died.
Oh, shit.
So I was in Boston at his funeral, and they sent me a wreath from the show. And
What is this? Deaths Are Us?
Yeah. Yeah, Toys R Us went out of business. Somebody's got to move into those buildings. Okay, I got some more black crepe.
So, all right, I didn't mean to slow you. Go, keep going.
No, and so I came back, and I was all beat up. And then, well, who do I see in the bathroom? This asshole, John Cristofalusi. You know, and I go, how the hell are you? You know, and he goes, good, how the hell are you? And he came in there to, like, start all kinds of ruckus with me. But I just sat there. And I was sad, not that he came in, I was still sad about my brother. So he makes his way into my territory.
So the other thing I noticed about this video, how amazing is it that you got two like recovering alcoholics and John decides it's okay to drink a beer. Now some guys are okay with that, but I just found it was kind of typical John, poor taste to be drinking in front of two alkies. I would never do that, just out of respect.
Well, I just find John completely talentless and
yeah.
You know,
who's the part that who doesn't belong at this table right here?
Which one of these things is not like the other?
Exactly.
And, you know, it just was so strange because they wanted to gang up on me. I mean, Howard had his dad call in. He probably prepped him, you know. And it's like...
And see, I don't remember clear enough. Did you think it was like a Pat Cooper situation? Did he bring him on to stir the pot with you, or was I on?
I auditioned for the show Ren and Stimpy. It was going to be kind of groundbreaking. You know, it kind of looked abstract, like beatnik stuff, you know. And I originally auditioned for both voices, and that...
Okay, so this is, again, guys, the truth is coming out. And at no point here do you get the sense that he's lying about anything. That's the one thing you have to give Billy credit for. If he is a bullshit artist, he's a very talented one.
Well, that's the sense you get with, I think, anybody who does this sort of medium. You can kind of tell people who are liars.
You get old enough, you start to learn the tells, you start doing research, and you can kind of hear bullshit when you know bullshit when you hear it. And some people are just really bad at, you know, keeping that close to the vest. Billy's, I don't get any sense of bullshit from him.
That's what sold the show. Me.
Oh, sorry.
I also get the sense of, like, you can tell people who live disingenuous lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unhappy, disingenuous lives that kind of project, or I don't know, you can tell in this medium especially.
Well, I give credit to Royce. He filmed this beautifully. The audio was not very good. I had to boost it up a little bit, but the way they filmed this was almost perfect. And the way it was edited was actually pretty good too. I just wonder how much was on the cutting room floor, because I would have loved some of the more salacious shit. As it was pretty tame. Anybody wanting to watch the whole thing. It was decent. It was a good enough watch, but
I like the whole setup. I liked the raw sit down kitchen table look of it.
And Jackie, when I messaged him about it, he said he was kind of pissed off that John left it, had nothing but vitriol, but that he enjoyed it so much, and it was good talking to Billy about it, and he really had fun telling the old stories and stuff. But that was the one kind of knock, that John wanted to make it negative. But to be honest, thank God, Stuttering John thought was the only one there to be willing to talk about it a little more, because it would have just been let's rehash the good old times. And people at this point in time, if they knew the whole story, they wouldn't be asking for the negative shit, because they'd know. But because they don't know, we want to hear this stuff. We want to hear the good stuff, but we definitely want to hear the whole story. And sometimes you need a guy like that to crowbar it in.
Well, John and Jackie both have this tendency to skip record play in their brain, where they keep playing that same tune.
Yes.
And John once in a while will plow through, and you will break through to some new ground.
Yep.
Jackie, rarely.
Yeah, but you have to mine heavy in both cases.
This John Cristofalusi, who created the show, went over to Nickelodeon, and we were in the hallway, like Kurt Loder did his news over here. This was the old MTV building. And he said, all right, and we recorded the whole demo in a closet. It was like right out of Central Casting. There's a broom and a pail, and we're like, I'm reading the script. And he says, all right, I'm going in there. And he goes and meets with the women from Nickelodeon. He comes out, congratulations, what you just did sold the show.
Wow.
And I said, great.
What you did just sold the show.
And we heard John Kay doing that awful shit George Liquor voice. Does it surprise anyone? Another egomaniac. Fuck this.
It's in development.
That he was going to do the Ren character, and I didn't give a shit because I had a job. You know,
Yeah,
anybody that
of
gives
course.
me a job is a hero to me. But eventually, he got himself fired from the show. There were all kinds of problems and stuff that was going on that nobody knew about. But so they went and they looked at the old audition tapes. They said, who was going to do this anyway? It was like Billy was going to do it. So they auditioned everybody. And
So he's going to, and basically they restarted from scratch. It was like a reset button, and everybody's re-auditioning, and we know we're going through the formalities of it, but we kind of know he can do it. But we have to, maybe for union rules, we have to make this an open call.
Well, exactly. What if you get hired for something? I don't care who interviews you. Once you have the job, if you're good at your job, let's say you decide that there's an opening or you see yourself leveraging a position to climb higher, to get in a bigger salary for something, why wouldn't you go for it? I mean, I'm not really like, why wouldn't you just keep doing your job and going better? And if somebody's not doing their job and doing better, how is that your problem?
Well, exactly. And the other thing is, if you just keep your nose to the grindstone, a lot of times people don't get recognized and rewarded. But in this case, he did, because he kept his nose clean. He said, look, I'm going to be professional, like feet forward, everything, like just make it about the work and let that shine. And you'll just look all the better as a result, and you'll get shitloads of work. You'll get people telling other people, we use him. Why don't you use him? Here's his card.
I just don't understand. Oh, it just must be really hard to stick to a schedule.
Is that to be cut out as well?
Town, the sort of protocol. Mark Hamill told me they auditioned him. But anyway, there I was, and I wind up getting both voices again. So he was an early interneter, and he whipped up this frenzy. It was like these posters that would come and attack me all the time, and they were
really?
disciples that would fly into the sun for the guy.
Like just mad that it's not...
Mad that
you stole his gig?
That I stole everything, and that I was like a backstabber and all this.
Probably if you could look on Google Groups in the old, or in the Usenet search, you could probably see all kinds of shit. I believe him on this because I remember what it was like. I ruined a Yanni chat room actually one time when I was in the early internet days. They shut it down after I was done because I made like I was somebody who had lost his wife, and like we were Yanni fans, and that's one thing that kept us together. And then I had my friend join and say, "You're full of shit. I don't believe you." And then I said, "Oh, how can you make fun of my pain?" And then we both dropped the balls. Like we both said bomb and said like we're both full of shit. We just strung you guys along. And that was my first foray into evil on the internet.
Confessions.
Yeah, it was fun. I did it as an experiment because I was fascinated with all these people like waxing poetic about dare to dream and shit. Anyway, I know I like Yanni's music. A lot of it is actually pretty good. But anyway, I digress. I just didn't like the forums.
This stuff, but he pushed his own self-destruct button, and anybody who's ever worked with him will tell you that. And so when they brought him into the show, I was just like...
How aware was Howard of any of this or all of this?
He knew I was still working on the show.
No, the whole reason they brought him in was to make you uncomfortable.
To F with me.
Yeah, I mean that was, come on, that's what
No,
we
I know.
did.
I'm sure it was, but I don't remember.
Another Jack, and this is what I fucking can't stand about Jackie. He can't just say, yeah, they clearly were fucking with you.
He's not in the room. What are you scared of?
Exactly.
I wouldn't play along. I said, I just, there was no grace to be gained by fighting with anybody, and silence was kryptonite to Howard.
Yeah, I know, but were you upset with Howard because of it?
No.
See, what I meant is I thought maybe the guy was coming on to promote something.
He was.
And maybe they shouldn't have let him on in deference to Billy.
Oh, no. I mean, they wouldn't do that.
No, they needed to do that because that's a bona fide tact, tactic.
He was in to promote something that was not yet greenlit.
The bona fide tactic, and he was saying silence was kryptonite to Howard. So he played that so
perfectly.
So perfectly. He knew, oh, you're going to fuck with me? I'm going to gray rock the fuck out of this bit. I don't care if I sit here and silently sweat. I will watch you flop around like a goldfish. I don't give a shit. You
I'm not
can
gonna
look like
help
the
you.
two-faced, maniacal, crazy-eyed lunatic, wig-wearing piece of fucking shit that you are. I don't care.
Yeah, and
Enjoy.
I'll just expose you, and there'll be no editing this. There's no way to edit this to make you look good, Stern.
And not only that, but in exposing Stern, he also exposed this is how little John Kay has going for him and how little John Kay had prepared.
Yep.
Howard's father tried to act like, you stick with these guys, and it's like they weren't even union. So he's sticking up for non-union people, which is totally against his,
So why would Howard's...
Yeah.
I'm brilliant. I said that. I'm like, that's exactly, I was like, he didn't form a union. He had no organizational skills with it. And Billy could sense that there was no organization behind it.
That's right. So when Ben Stern called in, and this is the second part, right? So
I'm not brilliant, by the way.
You're ingenious, incomparable.
I'm not brilliant whatsoever. I'm a fucking moron. But in this one rare gem, I did get this right.
Well, yeah, and so I mean, and Billy being a diehard union guy, if he was just being kind, he could have told Ben Stern like, "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about." So he should have, and Ben would have actually accepted. Said, "Oh well, then I'm mistaken. I apologize." But Howard wouldn't want that, and he would definitely like shout him down, saying, "Oh, never mind about that. Don't fuck the truth. We don't need that here."
Father have called then just because he was a radio guy, or did Howard have
No,
him?
he probably told him call in and
Howard's dad produced Tennessee Tuxedo.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
That they kind of thing.
Oh my God.
He became Maxwell Smart.
You know who's brilliant? John.
Where's his show?
Yeah, exactly.
I would have called you sooner, Chief, but I couldn't get my shoe off.
Tennessee
Tuxedo, right?
Yeah. Was that your last? So that was it for you?
No. After he left, I was really upset that happened.
See, there you go. He originally said that didn't bother me. I was saying I'm upset that happened. So, God love you, Billy, but it's okay to say you were fucking pissed off at this. I don't know. I still don't know why he has to take the high road now after all these years.
I like that he takes the high road, and I think it's funny that Stern still, flops around like an idiot and pretends he doesn't know what's happening. I have no idea. He just went to California one day. I don't know what a friend is.
Maybe I'll call him in 20 years.
What made you leave then? What was the final straw?
Because I was asking for more money and they were dilly-dallying around, and Tom was nickel and diming me, and and I just said, hey, I'm too old to be a victim. Like, what am I doing begging for money? I'm a full-grown fucking man.
Yeah.
If you don't want me or you don't pay me, then okay, I'm gone.
So that was that clip.
But that's the thing that I want to say to you. What? Is because after he left, when we were all in the studio, Howard was like, and we're all talking, and Howard goes, fucking Billy leaving. Doesn't Billy know the only reason why he gets any voice work is because of his show? Yeah. What the hell is wrong with him? I mean, the only reason people want him is because of me and his show.
I know.
And that's when I said, in my head, I'm sitting there going, you're a fucking megalomaniac.
Well,
you
because
think
he's thought the same thing
this
about
guy is the
every
most
single
talented
person.
voice guy in the fucking world.
Of course.
Okay, but regardless of kissing Billy's ass, John, I don't think John's full of shit here. I think he's absolutely telling the truth.
He's 100% telling the truth. And there's just no other way to deny Billy's. You can't deny Billy's talent. There's just some things that are so that are so in your face truthful. Like, what color is the sky? 2 + 2 is 4. Yep. Billy's talent is unfucking deniable. So to say that Stern is the only reason that you're getting this is just a flat out fucking lie.
And he's not telling John he's full of shit, and I don't believe that. I don't think Howard would ever say that. Neither is Jackie. So
Billy, like I said, Billy always properly assessed his own worth, and that's the difference between him and Artie.
Mm-hmm.
Howard is like thinking it's all because of his show.
Well, the fans were like that too. He'll be back. He better get his ass back to the Stern Show. Yeah, like you know something. You know, if I had taken anybody's career advice from that peanut gallery that was there, you know, he's probably selling oranges on a bag in a corner, you know.
That's right. Here he's pumping gas at the fucking New Jersey fucking stop and gas. That's right. Go Billy.
Yeah.
Go Billy.
Yep.
I just blown. I don't know, but I was blown away by.
I just always wonder when he says stuff like that. I always wonder if he's just saying that, or what. Sometimes I get worried that he really believes.
Oh no, Jack! This is off the air. This is not when the.
No.
He believed this. No, but he believes it.
It's,
Trust me. I mean, that's what he would say to me all the time, and I'm sure to you too.
But I had to laugh because.
Yeah. Well, Jackie's an old hippie. He wants everything like peace and love and all that horse shit, and he believes, oh, this person can't be that evil. Like, there are evil people in the fucking world, Jackie. I don't know what you want. Like, and I love Jackie. God bless him. He did our show. But on this one, I don't know. I still don't know why he has to maintain this veneer of, political correctness where it comes to his boss that he obviously had fucking money disputes with.
I think sometimes it's so hard to see the truth, maybe. In some people, like for Artie, it was so hard to see that
Totally.
Stern. It still is. Sometimes he still doesn't want to see it, and he, he still builds back up the character or the hero in his head.
It's awful. And you see your idol has feet of clay, and then you decide that this guy's really a shithead, and you got to expunge that from your mind. And all of a sudden it means that you spent all these years wasting your time. Well, guess what, guys? We made a podcast about it, but now we're not wasting our time because we're illustrating like a fucking coloring book, paint by numbers, exactly why you should hate the fucking guy. So here we are.
He thought that he was the only one that could find a diamond on the floor and had the good sense to pick it up. You know, you go anywhere, they're gonna go. Wait a minute, say that. What did you just say? You know, do that. What was that voice? You can do weather. Do you do any other forms of weather? You know, they do the wind, and they go. Do you do any other forms of weather?
No, but now you're the voice of Bugs Bunny. You're It's just amazing.
Okay, so again, they're being humble. I like his approach generally. I like Billy's approach. And Jackie, I mean, God, Jackie knows behind the scenes. That's the thing that really bothers me because he stayed and he knew what was happening behind the scenes. He could have been very forthright and said Howard could not have been happier that Billy was gone. More fucking attention to him.
Well, I think a part of this talk where he says, do you really think this is a part of his own psychology of not leaving sooner and not realizing his own self-worth, and it's a part of his own appeasement and whatever
and misjudgment because he could have made more money earlier if they'd all gotten together and figured this out as a collective, as you said.
It's a lot of his own personal psychology.
I think so
too. He's trying to pave over.
Yeah, because why do I want to think that 15 years of my life I spent having fun knowing that these people were assholes that I was working for?
So he's asking for Billy to validate. Do you really think that? Because it's validating something Jackie needs him to say, no, I don't really think that. But
you're right. Very, very astute. Nice. You are a genius. Forget what you said.
Stop working. And it's not a comfortable subject for him, and I don't think it ever was. But you're just too talented for the room. Absolutely too talented for the room, because he certainly had the fucking money.
God, yeah.
Sure. And another thing was, you were not in his control.
Yeah, because
you know what? It's always tempting.
Okay, so see, this is Jackie.
That.
You could see it pained him. It pained him to say that. You could tell that it was really bothering him to go down even vaguely negative. I mean, am I lying from the body language?
You watch that perfectly. You watch his eyes change.
Looking down.
They become almost more wrinkled, and his body becomes more crinkled and compact, and he just kind of crawls in and he says, too talented, and he just kind of says, you were too talented, and he says this knowing when he's saying this that it's painful to say.
Live well. I always read that living well
Is
was
the best revenge. Right.
against anybody, because what are they going to say? What, are you still selling orange on a street corner out in L.A.? And it's like, go to Celebrity Net Worth, look up my name, and have a gun for lunch.
God love Billy.
I think it really killed Jackie.
What, the fact that Billy knew his value and left and decided fuck this, and he didn't?
When you said that, his body language completely said that, and his actual language really resigned to the fact that he did submit in a way to acknowledging the fact that, yeah, Howard was that maniacal, and he did have an awareness, and he...
It's like some guy coming up to you and saying, your wife's been cheating on you for 20 years.
It really, it's sad for, it's sad that Jackie's, he has such a naivety about him. He just doesn't, I don't know why he has that about him, because he is in a business where you shouldn't have that. Like, you should be very street smart in a sense, which is very bothersome to me. And in a sense, with a lot of these characters and players in this show, which bothers me because I'm such a rabble rouser, I don't enjoy this. Like, I would never be taken advantage of like this. So I don't personally understand this type of devaluement and not understanding. But there's some sort of personal psychology in the people that Howard picks. And it must be, so I kind of have to think he has a sense of who he hires, knowing that he picks people, knowing he can pick his victims. He can have that over them. There's a few that gets away.
That's right.
But most don't, because I think he hires them knowing that he can spin that web around them.
Can I manipulate this person? Can I? Exactly. I think it's very astute. And the other thing is, I think I admire Jackie for maybe having that sort of happy naivete. If in fact it's true, it's not just a front. That means he's going to live his life happier, being a nicer person and not seeing the negative. But it's also going to open himself to all kinds of really heartbreak and just to know that the world is not like that. So in a sense, I do admire him one way, because I can't be like that. I'm not a miserable prick, but I am very, very negative in a lot of ways. And
being taken advantage of.
Yeah. I just don't like the being felt that I was taken for a ride ever, and you should never feel like that. It's a horrible feeling. But at any rate, I don't think we have too many more closing thoughts. Thank you so much, my dear, for going through this with me, and it was a great. I think it was a great slog. Any closing comments?
We miss Billy so much.
Yeah, more
Billy. If you ever want to come on.
We'd be happy to talk shop and happy to talk cartoons with you. Thank you guys so much. You can listen to us in any number of apps now, not just Podbean as well. But check out our Facebook page. Donate at will, please. We're not going to stop you. We'll accept whatever you give us. If it's a penny, if it's $1 a month, $1 a year, whatever, I don't care. There's
our dollar with inflation is going to be basically worth nothing probably by the end of the year. So,
yeah,
keep giving.
Yeah, well, it's anything you can give, guys. We would appreciate it, and respect you for it, because it all goes into the show, and we just happy that you're.
Coin, whatever.
Yeah, we're just happy you're along for the ride. So hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Well, it sounds fascinating.
Hey, Howard, this makes sense. I just read in page 6, Diana DeGarmo is writing a book. It's called Go Away, Little Monster.
Well, Eric, I wish you luck with this book. I do.
And take your little dog with you.
And I'm very excited to have a reading and hear what you have to say, okay?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, Artie, how many brain cells have you actually killed with coke and heroin?